who are wearing all black with the orange trim. As we get underway, and the ball is passed from that centre circle by Harry Wilson back to the defenders, immediately launched long for Wales. Matthias de Ligt of Juventus heads it away. Norrington Davis, and eventually down on the deck for Hans Hateboer. The Dutch will play from right to left as we look down. Their goalkeeper Mark Flekken, all in green, immediately under pressure from Dan James, who sprints in on him, but the goalkeeper is able to clear it away. Lively start inside the opening 60 seconds.
Yeah, great start from Dan James. Showed real intent there early on to shut this Holland defence down in the goalkeeper, and really got Wales on the front foot, with the real intent to start strong.
Some rickets for you. Is Dan James a player with maybe a bit of a point to prove in terms of the goal return?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's the only thing missing from his game. Carries that much threat with the pace he's got. He causes all sorts of problems. A player going through on goal so many times, whether it be one-on-one or crossing, it's just his final shot or final cross. If you can add that to his game, then he'll release an awful lot of potential, which everyone is seeing in him.
Stefan de Vrij has got the captain's armband on. He's inside the centre circle. Teze tries to swing away from James, who very much looks motivated tonight. No signs of celebration fatigue from him in the early stages. This is de Ligt on the left-hand side for the Dutch. Their supporters all wearing the bright orange, housed a few hundred of them away to our right-hand side. There was a big bright orange bus in the centre of Cardiff earlier on today. I saw driving around, so presumably that was bringing them here. This is Teze near the halfway line. The Dutch, who were always so technically adept, so comfortable in possession. De Vrij comes into Welsh territory. Brennan Johnson jogs over near him. So it's back to Teze once again now. Dan James will apply the little bit of a press. There's a first-time layoff from Cody Gakpo. And this is all still inside the central third of the pitch. Malacia with the blue boots on the left-hand side. Played in the Europa Conference League final last month with Feyenoord. Tyrell Malacia. Again, De Vrij weighs up the options, chooses to give it short to Teze on his right-hand side. Wales, who haven't conceded more than one goal in any of these 19 unbeaten at home. They are a difficult team to beat down. It'll be interesting to see how the Dutch try and go about it today. A through ball intended for Weghorst is cut out, and a throw into the Dutch on the left-hand side.
Yeah, you can see early on, Connor, that Wales are quite happy to let Holland have possession, on their own halfway line, and keep the ball and sit in and wait for a chance to break.
This is Schouten, just on the edge of the penalty area, couldn't take it with him into the box, and the ball is cleared away by Connor Roberts. At the back for Wales, de Ligt jumps and wins a header, but he can only cushion it down to Ben Davies, who is the Wales captain, and then Teze has just body-checked Dan James and cleaned him out. I'll be surprised if this isn't yellow. Dan James was about to go sprinting past him. Teze wouldn't have caught him if he was in a car, and he knew that, and he took down Dan James, and he's been shown the yellow card.
Yeah, it's Wales' game plan. Wales have built their success over the recent years of being hard to break down, defending from the halfway line back, but then you need pace to break, and Dan James has got that in abundance, and the ball broke to him. Good ball out by Ben Davies. Dan James little round the corner to himself, and Wales win a free kick on the halfway line.
That's not ideal for Teze on his international debut. We've only played 3 minutes and he's got a yellow card already
against a very, very quick player as well, so he'll have to be careful from now.
Teze on high alert. Wales have possession. Joe Rodon at the back wearing bright white boots, rolls it to his right hand side. Chris Meffam gives it back into Rodon, who's operating as the central of the three central defenders, and a pass over to the left hand side is controlled by Harry Wilson, who accelerates into the Dutch half. Nice back heel from Brennan Johnson, a youngster who exudes such a comfortable confidence. He doesn't come across as cocky, he just comes across as very, very assured. Roberts has it on the right-hand side, back to Dylan Levitt. Levitt is only 21 years of age, a Manchester United player who's been playing on loan in Scotland with Dundee United. Neat and tidy in the midfield as he tries to play it forward to Brennan Johnson, and de Ligt will intercept and roll it back to the goalkeeper, Mark Flekken. So the Netherlands have got 2 home games in a row after this. They host Poland on Saturday, they host Wales next Tuesday. They are the early leaders of this Nations League Group A4. Interesting to hear those comments from Louis van Gaal. Before kick-off, he said it was really stupid. He used the word ridiculous. He used the word irresponsible. That was describing the 4 games in 11 days that the Netherlands have got to play for this Nations League campaign. That's why he's made the 11 changes to his team tonight. Noah Lang has possession on the right-hand side but loses it. Chance for Wales to counter. Harry Wilson up to the halfway line, has a look up, tries to roll it in front of it was Norrington Davis who'd made the overlapping run on the outside, but the Netherlands are well police back there, well organised, and they regain possession just outside their own penalty area. Yuri Shoutin of Bologna missed the first half of the season with a pelvic injury, but did very well in the second half of the campaign. That's worked him into Louis van Gaal's thoughts at the moment. Another foul, this time on Johnson. Another free kick to Wales midway inside the Netherlands half. 0-0 and 5 live.
It's a nice start from Wales, Conor. I think, like I said, I mentioned before, they're comfortable letting Holland have the ball in their own half and not really going anywhere. And then Wales, as soon as they win that ball back, they look really sharp to get the ball forward to Brennan Johnson. 2
excellent passes out, hasn't it, James, from Ben Davies both times. One along the floor into Dan James, where he got fouled, and this time he just lifted the ball over a couple of advancing Dutch players into the other forward, Brennan Johnson.
That's the voice of Sam Ricketts and James Collins watching this game with us here on 5 Live from Cardiff City Stadium. Not completely full, but almost, as Harry Wilson exasperatingly points his fingers in the air. He wanted some teammate to make a run there that wasn't made, and Wales are going to give it away near the halfway line. Jordan Teze has it back for the Netherlands. This is Koopmeiners, 24 years of age. Came on as a sub against Belgium on Friday. Replaced Berghuis. Teze sends one down the right wing, looking for Hatteboer. We know all about him for the Champions League with Atalanta, but he's offside as the pass was played to him. Good organised defending from Wales. We've got Swedish officials tonight, led by referee Glenn Nyberg. They don't have VAR in Sweden, so Polish VAR officials are watching elsewhere and speaking in their ear. Paweł Rakowski is the Polish official in charge of the action replays. Wales 0, Netherlands 0. Second game of the group for Wales, having lost to Poland in the opener. Again, that was a weakened team. They were saving their petrol for the weekend and taking on Ukraine. Strong challenge by Connor Roberts in on Cody Gakpo, and he did well, Roberts, because the last touch came off Gakpo, and it'll be a throw-in to Wales right in front of Rob Page, who, despite it being a relatively mild night, has gone for a rather winterish looking coat down there. Smacks of superstition.
That's a boy from the Ronda as well. He should be used to this cold breeze that's blowing about.
Right, good interception by Koopmeiners. Chance of a counter-attack here. Rolls it to his right-hand side to Noah Lang. Back into the middle to Koopmeiners. It's too intricate for the Dutch. They didn't have that much time. They'll get a corner at the end of it. Good opportunity, though, and Wales get away with it.
Yep, Joe Rodon just getting caught on the ball there. Trying to bring the ball out as a middle centre-back, foot on top of the ball, and then just got enticed into trying to dribble through the middle of the pitch. Taken off him, and Holland had a really good chance there.
There's Noah Lang, the Club Brugge winger, who we heard about in the build-up. A player who certainly ranks himself very highly, looking to expand on his reputation. This is just his 4th cap for his country. Rolled it back into Koopmeiners, and by that stage Wales had got their defensive regard back in shape. It will be Koopmeiners to take the corner from the left-hand side. Flashes through a whole host of players. Joe Morrell tries to clear away. Brennan Johnson tries to flick it over the defender and run around the other side. It's collected by Dan James. Wales, though, held up on the halfway line, and it's Lang who regains possession. He's taken down by Levitt. Free kick to the Netherlands inside the Welsh half. 0-0. We've played 8 minutes now in this 7:45 kickoff. We're live this evening on the radio on 5 Live. You can listen via the BBC Sounds app and on the BBC Sport website via the live text commentary page. As Stefan de Vrij has possession inside the centre circle. This is all such good preparation for Wales, the sort of scenario that they might well face in Qatar against a technical team who will hold a lot of possession, and how Wales can manage their transition so they can turn deep defending into counter-attacks is something that they've obviously worked on a lot in recent times, and will need to do so even more now between now and Qatar.
That's the beauty of having Dan James and his pace up front, Connor. You know, Wales know they can sit in, and like I've mentioned it a few times now, you know, concede the possession without, you know, the Dutch advancing too far on the pitch, because they know as soon as they win it back, one ball over the top, you know, Dan James with his pace could be in.
That's where tonight Scotland are playing Armenia, still 0-0 there. Republic of Ireland are playing Ukraine. Republic were beaten by Armenia at the weekend. Difficult one for Ukraine. They'll be licking their wounds after the defeat here in that World Cup playoff at the weekend. This is Hatteboer, far side of the pitch from us, rolls it back to Jordan Teze, and the whistle has been blown, and there's a Welsh player, Joe Morrell, who is down injured. So we mentioned events at Hampden Park. How has it begun? Roddy Forsyth is there for us. Roddy.
We're almost at the 10th minute, as I saw in Hampden Park. It's not a full house, but you can hear the crowd happy behind me, and that's because Scotland have started well with Stuart Armstrong hitting the post and seeing the ball just go behind Scott McKenzie, heading straight into the arms of the goalkeeper. Scotland pressing as they are at the moment, but that one is wasted and it will go out for a goal kick. So Scotland 0, Armenia 0, we've played 10.
Yeah, Roddy, with a break in play here. I'd imagine the hurt still raw for Scotland from that semi-final defeat.
Yes, with people talking to fans outside, raw is the word. People were saying that it was hard to get over. In fact, some of the Scotland players, when we were talking to them yesterday, were saying it was the most depressing camp on the Thursday that some of them had ever experienced. But they're footballers, they're sportsmen, they've picked themselves up, they're underway again. Still scoreless though.
Thanks very much, Roddy. We're back to Roddy for updates on Scotland-Armenia throughout the evening. Joe Morrell's going to be okay to come back on. He's just got a little bit of treatment. He's having a word with Rob Page, but he's okay to continue. Louis van Gaal sitting down there looking very stylish in his suit, and he's got his assistant Edgar Davids alongside him, who's still got the same hairstyle, still got the same sunglasses. Exactly what you'd expect from Davids. His play is back underway. The Netherlands playing from right to left as we look down. And possession on the left-hand side with Malacia, who gives it back to De Ligt. And Matthijs De Ligt, the young teenager, did so well at Ajax, made his reputation as a teenager, got that move to Juventus. There's been a bit of word he might be leaving Italy this summer though. Interesting to see where he'll end up. Still just 22 years of age, Matthijs De Ligt. He's on the ball at the moment in the bright orange boots that you'd expect of a Dutchman. Good ball into Gakpo just outside the D of the penalty area, but excellent work from Harry Wilson to take it off him, though he can't hold on to it. And then he's helped out by Levitt, and Wales have regained possession, but then they give it away again. Jordan Teze scoops one into the penalty area. Good delivery, but Gakpo can't control it. He jumped in the air and the ball just dipped underneath him, and that was a mistake. That was a chance for the PSV Eindhoven player, and Danny Ward comfortable and pleased that rolled through to him.
Big chance, you know, if his touch is better, he's got a free shot on goal. You know, Wales got to be a little bit careful. Like I said, they're sitting in them and happy to defend, but when they win the ball back, the last 2 or 3 passes they've been a little bit sloppy. You know, that first ball out needs to be secure so they can get up the pitch.
This is Wales' first campaign in the top flight of the Nations League. It's the reward for doing well in the previous iterations of this competition. Nations League is what gave Wales that playoff spot. It has proved to be a very valuable format getting into Qatar, and now they get to play with the big nations in this competition too, which can really only help the development of these Welsh players. Throw in for Wales on the halfway line. Connor Roberts takes his time over it. Scored against Belarus in November. Connor Roberts, a game that Wales won by 5 goals to 1. Now here comes Norrington Davis to Wilson, low cross on the left hand side, and the Dutch defence under pressure put it out for a corner. Brennan Johnson made a sprint into the 6-yard box, and he's just leaning forward. He's sort of holding his groin. I don't know if it was just an impact knock, but he's hobbling a little bit as Wales prepared to take the corner.
Yeah, good play by 2 players I'm really interested to watch tonight, Brennan Johnson and Harry Wilson. Harry Wilson, I think, was very unlucky not to start on Sunday, but 2 players who really could make an impact for Wales, certainly in the World Cup.
Harry Wilson, who scored 11 goals this past season for Fulham. He's waiting in the penalty area now as the corner is swung in. Very much an in-swinger, comes off the top of the head of Hatterborg. Thought that might have been another corner actually, but it seems to have been last touch of Harry Wilson and a goal kick to the Netherlands. And still 0-0 here with 13 minutes played. That was a high, swirling corner that sort of caught the breeze here in Cardiff and could have caused problems for the Dutch defence. Flicken clears away up to the halfway line. Weghorst tries to control it on his chest under pressure from Roden, who's really upset to hear the referee's whistle. He felt he didn't foul the big tall striker there, but the free kick has been given.
It's quite a test for Joe Rodon tonight. You know, he's a big lad, and you know, he's playing centre half myself. You know, you can't always win that first ball. You've got to be patient and try not to give too many fouls away, which he did there.
This is De Vrij under pressure from Dan James once again. He manages to smuggle the ball to Teze on the right hand side. Almost quarter of an hour played.
Yeah, something Joe Rodon I think needs to add to his game, isn't it, James? I think when you're a young defender, you are eager to go and win all those headers, all those battles, especially early on in the game. You want to set your marker out, but I've noticed it a number of times that he does go for balls which he isn't going to get, and ends up giving fouls away.
You know as well as me, Sam, especially in international football, you know, it's different. You know, it's a bit more rough and tumble in the Premier League or the Championship, where you can get away with a little bit more. In these international games, you can't get away with that. So that's the side of the game he's going to learn and will come with experience and the more caps he gets.
At this level as well, forwards are waiting for you just to touch them, to go down, to buy a free kick, to buy possession of their team.
I guess what Joe Rodon needs as much as anything is regular first team football. Just 3 appearances in the Premier League this past season for Tottenham. He did play in cup games, but in the build up between now and Qatar, he'll want to play more often first team football. Here is Brennan Johnson. Now this is what many have come to see tonight. Comes to a standstill, accelerates against De Ligt. De Ligt's a good defender, challenges him, and the ball goes out by the corner flag for a throw in. So Brennan Johnson's first attempt to beat De Ligt, and it's victory to the Juventus defender. Throw in, attacking position on the right hand side for Wales. Conor Roberts strides across to take it. Harry Wilson has come short for him. Rolls it to the edge of the penalty area. Levitt back to Chris Mepham. Leans back as he plays in a decent cross. And a leap by Lorrington Davis. A header up over the top. Good build up from Wales. They didn't hit the target, but it was dangerous.
It's a chance. It's a good chance. Best chance of the game so far. Reece Norrington Davis, actually free header at the back post, should do better. I think he actually ended up being a little bit surprised. There was no challenge on him.
I think he was surprised by the quality of the ball from Chris Mepham, to be honest. Centre half putting crosses in like that, it's not seen.
Reece Norrington Davis looking for his first international goal. He's only ever scored 2 senior goals in his club career. That was an opportunity for him. A player who has now been involved in all 3 of the Welsh games over the past week or so. There's Tezzy again, who's having a difficult debut. His attempts to clear away there were closed down by Morrell in the midfield. And then Tezzy with another challenge. Morrell goes down, referee gives the free kick to Wales, and Jordan Tezzy's got to be careful. Already on the booking, he's making mistakes, he's looking clumsy, and this is proving a baptism of fire for him.
That's another thing I think this Welsh team have learned, you know, with a little bit too honest at times, you know, as I learned in international football, we were going away, and myself and other players giving silly fouls away, but it's clever play. Learn to take the tackle, take the challenge and go down and get the free kick to kill the game and give yourself back possession.
So far the Dutch have not had a gilt-edged opportunity in the game. This is the nation that scored 4 against Belgium, albeit with a different starting 11 on Friday. And Mepham goes long, too far in front of Brennan Johnson, who's just, I don't know if it's just his facial expression, looked to be grimacing a little bit as he went in pursuit of that, and I hope he hasn't picked up a knock with that collision earlier on in the game. De Vrij has possession, slowly saunters up towards the halfway line, then tries to spray it in behind the Welsh defence. Gakpo's going to sprint all the way to the corner flag, virtually impossible one for him to get to, and the best he can do is stop it going for a goal kick and to nudge it out for a throw into Wales' right full back position. For them, he only turned 23 last month. Cody Gakpo, a player who's got a growing reputation, voted 2022 Dutch Footballer of the Year. He still plays in the Netherlands with PSV, but very much one to look out for this evening. Hateboer inside the Welsh half. Clumsy ball from him though, pounced upon by Harry Wilson, who releases Norrington Davis down the left-hand side. Hateboer's desperately trying to get back all the way to the edge of the penalty area. Brilliant tackle from Hateboer, and the ball is pushed out for a corner.
Again, Wales playing deep and playing on the break. This time Norrington Davis, just a really strong runner, carried the ball 40, 50, 60 yards, and only a late sliding tackle prevented him from having a shot or cross at that. But again, good play by Wales, and good ball out of defence.
The Netherlands have brought everyone back to defend the corner. 0-0, 18 minutes played. Last one was high and swirling. This is low and short to Brennan Johnson. Back out to Dan James. Poor delivery the second time. Low into the centre, easily cleared away by Koopmeiners. Wales get it back near the centre circle, and Conor Roberts looks to spray it out back to the left-hand side where Dan James had taken the corner, but he's been closely marked by Hateboer, who heads it out for a throw into Wales, level with the edge of the penalty area. They attack down the left-hand side. Norrington Davis has been busy in the opening stages of this game. He'll be the player to take the throw in. The wide defensive position so important to the way that Wales are set up with the 3 central defenders. Norrington Davis here gives it back to Ben Davis, and all the way back to the halfway line again. And Joe Rodon, who's got Chris Mepham available on his right-hand side. The Dutch have brought everyone back for the corner, so they're deep. Wales have it around the halfway line. Joe Rodon, former Swansea player, short to Levitt, and he's closed down by Koopmeiners. Meffen's header will be won back by the Dutch. And Jordan Teze has got a pocket of space to himself just inside his own half. Good pass to the left-hand side to pick out Malacia. His team Feyenoord finished third in the Eredivisie this past season. Jarell Malacia. Campaign won again by Ajax, who've been back to their dominant best in recent times. De Vrij, under pressure from Harry Wilson, turns and rolls it back to the goalkeeper, Mark Flekken. So both Flekken and Ward yet to really have a shot in anger to save in the game so far. 20 minutes played exactly at Cardiff City Stadium. Flekken, oh, his left-footed clearance hits the face of Dan James. It could have gone anywhere. Unfortunately for the Dutch, it goes out for a goal kick. And that pressure, that sprinting pace that Dan James uses to close down the keeper, very nearly reaping rewards there.
It's really good play from Wales, Connor. You know, they're sort of sucking the Dutch into a bit of a false sense of security. They're setting traps to them. You know, they're thinking they got time, and then the ball's getting played, and then Dan James and Brennan Johnson are pressing really quickly, which is causing them problems.
Yeah, they're giving them the first pass, aren't they? And then going from there. It's different for Wales because, with all due respect to the team of the weekend, with Kiefer Moore, with Gareth Bale up front, you don't have that energy that you've got in Dan James and Brendan Johnson, Harry Wilson tonight to press. So Wales can be more aggressive after giving Dutch that first pass out from the goalkeeper.
Gakpo has possession on the halfway line, 0-0 on 5 Live for the BBC. This is the Nations League, Group A4. And this is Schouten giving it back to De Ligt once again. Let's check back in at Hampden Park. Scotland against Armenia. Roddy Forsyth.
A little bit frustrating for the Scots. It's goalless after 20 minutes, and the reason for the frustration is Armenia are sitting so deep that they're playing virtually without a striker. In fact, almost entirely without a striker. That didn't stop them getting a break. Barsegian getting in to get his shot away, but it didn't cause Craig Gordon any bother. All the same, Scotland would like to get ahead in this game just to give themselves some relief. 0-0.
Thanks very much. Also 0-0 between the Republic of Ireland and Ukraine in Dublin. So as things stand in Group 4, if it was to stay like this, Netherlands will be top of the group, Poland second, Wales will be third, and Belgium bottom of the pile after their opening defeat. Brennan Johnson close to winning the ball near the halfway line, but De Ligt holds onto it for the Dutch. This is Noah Lang giving it away cheaply in the midfield, and then a foul on Joe Morrell, who swiveled in the air as he was caught there, and he's gone down holding his ankle. Slow to get back up via his knees, back up to his feet. The Dutch have left the studs in a few times in this opening 22 minutes. Quite a number of free kicks been given away by the visitors so far. This is Mepham, short to Roberts, right hand side for Wales. Over the halfway line of Brennan Johnson. Tried to sell a dummy, De Ligt wasn't buying it. He tried to do what Vinicius Jr. did to Fernandinho in that Champions League semi-final, trying to skip over to the halfway line and run around the other side, but De Ligt had seen that movie before. Here's Ben Davies on the attack for Wales, swings it across, that's too high. Roberts is going to sprint, but it beats him to the byline, and that is a goal kick to the Dutch, and still Wales 0, the Netherlands 0. We are midway through the first half in Cardiff. So the Netherlands especially looking forward to Qatar, having missed out on Russia last time out. You look at the players who aren't involved tonight, but who certainly will be in Qatar. Frankie de Jong of Barcelona, Memphis Depay, Gigi mentioned it earlier, 20 goals in his last 17 appearances for the Netherlands. Only Robin van Persie and Klaas-Jan Huntelaar have scored more in the all-time list than Memphis Depay. They've got the likes of Tottenham, Steven Bergwijn, Daley Blind, ex-Manchester United, and Nathan Ake of Manchester City. There's a lot of depth to this squad for Louis van Gaal. He's getting a chance to view some new talent tonight as well, with the debutants Jerry Schouten and Jordan Teze. Roberts for Wales plays it up to Brendan Johnson, a first-time layoff. Back to Roberts on the right-hand side, who sprints, and across comes De Ligt, and he's done well there. He gets the last touch off Roberts, and the ball goes out of play. And so far in this game, Wales are actually benefiting more down the left-hand side than the right, and I think the reason for that, as much as the Welsh players, I think it's De Ligt who's been very solid on the left-hand side of the Dutch defence. 0-0. Throw in for Malacia. Takes his time over it, gets it back from Schouten. And a rather careless clearance by Malacia, picked up by Norrington Davis, and he's been taken down 12-14 yards outside the penalty area. If Gareth Bale was on the pitch, this would be certainly a shooting position. Harry Wilson might have a tribute act.
Could we bring Gareth Bale on just to take free kicks today, please?
growing into the game a little bit, Wales now, aren't they? Starting to have a little bit more possession in the Dutch half. Winning the ball back higher up the pitch now as well.
I've been impressed with the closing down, the intensity. Like I mentioned before the game, these lads have been away for a long time now. It's physically and mentally draining, and you've got to say the way they've started pressing and the energy they show in this Welsh team is tremendous.
Harry Wilson has certainly got this in his locker. It's just over 10 yards outside the penalty area. It is a central position. Short run up, hits it with a bend, and it's punched away by the goalkeeper Flecken. He got it on target, but not quite with the pace that would be required to beat the goalkeeper from that far out.
Yeah, it's a fair free kick. I think the keeper's got to catch it. To be honest, I'm not sure why he's punched it out for a corner. I think he could have just caught it quite comfortably.
He's trying to make himself and Harry look good there.
Win-win for both players. Flecken, inexperienced at international level, just 2 caps before tonight. Another corner to Wales, 25 minutes on the clock. Another in-swinger, played towards the back post. De Ligt rises well and heads it away for the Dutch. Remember, no Virgil van Dijk this evening, not even on the bench. He's been given time after what was such a busy season. Liverpool getting to all the finals, playing in every game they possibly could, and Van Dijk playing in almost all of them. So although he did play against Belgium on Friday, Virgil van Dijk has now been given some time off by Louis van Gaal. Ben Davies does well under pressure from Weghorst. And this is Chris Mepham midway inside the Welsh half. Back to Joe Rodon. And Chris Mepham will be back in the Premier League next season after Bournemouth regained promotion to the top flight, going back up automatically. Attacking down the left again is Rhys Norrington-Davies, and he's caught by Hateboer. And Hateboer's had to be busy on that right-hand side with Dan James and Norrington-Davies both attacking freely down that wing.
Hateboer's made 1 or 2 very good tackles so far. You think he's the wrong side, and he showed good pace and timing of his tackles. He's defended very well so far.
So Wales have possession midway inside the Dutch half. Joe Morrell gets to within 10 yards of the box, back to Harry Wilson. Short pass to the edge of the penalty area to Dan James, back to Morrell once again, and now there's room for Chris Mepham on the right hand side. And then as Conor Roberts tries to turn Malacia, he's caught. It's another rough challenge, and he's holding his right knee, Conor Roberts, as the referee awards a free kick to Wales, crossing position on the right hand side.
Yeah, he just saw him coming, didn't he, last minute, put his leg across to protect the ball. The Dutch player ran into his leg. Hopefully he's not twisted his knee. He's getting up now.
And certainly not what Wales want tonight is any injuries after what's been such an enjoyable few days, a celebration of Welsh football. And glad to say that Conor Roberts is immediately back up on his feet, and he's walking fine, and he's absolutely okay. A patch of sunshine has just come out to illuminate the bright orange shirts of the travelling Dutch fans away to our right hand side. They're the only section of the pitch being lit up by the sun. Wilson's free kick needed more height than it, headed away by Hateboer. Challenged by Gakpo. Chance of a counter-attack here if it can be kept in play, but Noah Lang isn't able to do so. Ball goes out for a throw-in to Wales. And the Dutch have brought everyone back to defend. And the free kick there, slow to break out from the back. This is Joe Morrell, centre circle. Wales playing left to right as we look down, dressed all in red. Dutch in their change kit, black with the orange trim. Chris Mepham has possession on the halfway line. Pressure being applied by Lang, and the ball goes out of play for a throw-in to Wales. Evidence that Wales are trying to up the tempo a little bit when they can. And the Dutch, who do like to slow it down and play the game at their pace, and the Netherlands have had a higher percentage of possession in the game so far. Rodon to Ben Davies, who certainly seemed to benefit from the arrival of Antonio Conte at Tottenham. He'd been reduced to the fringes at Spurs until the arrival of Conte, and then he hardly missed a game through to the end of the season.
Yeah, he's had an excellent season, Conor. I think he fits in perfectly at the left of the 3 centre back, and on Sunday I thought it's probably his best game he's had for Wales. He's never let Wales down, but certainly Sunday in such a high pressure game, I thought he was phenomenal.
He'll be back in the Champions League next season too, after Tottenham's top 4 finish. Here is Harry Wilson, gives it to Dan James, snapshot on the edge of the area, and it never had the power. It bounced in front of Mark Flecken. He decided to take it on first time there, Dan James, but never in danger of beating the goalkeeper. Goal at Hampden Park. Scotland against Armenia. Here's Roddy Forsyth.
We're almost at the half-hour mark, and Scotland have taken the lead. Anthony Ralston, the Celtic wing-back who was brought in for this game, scoring with a header from a deep ball from McKenna, getting behind the defender, crossing the goalkeeper, and that's his first goal on his first start. Anthony Ralston for Scotland, who are winning 1-0 against Armenia.
Thanks, Roddy. You can listen to commentary of that game right now on our sister station 5 Live Sports Extra. So a half an hour reached at Cardiff City Stadium. And Wales are doing well against illustrious opponents here. Both teams who've made changes, but I think Rob Page will be pleased enough with what he's seen so far. Joe Rodon has possession. Centre circle for Wales. Low ball to Dylan Levitt. To the right wing to Connor Roberts. Back into Levitt once again. That's a mistake. Mistake by young Levitt. Giving the ball to Weghorst, who's managed to ride the challenge of Joe Morrell and feed Gakpo on the left-hand side, just outside the penalty area. Wanted to give it back into Weghorst. It's come to Gakpo again in the penalty area, but surrounded by Welsh defenders, he can't go forward. Schouten will pick it up. He's got Malacia available on the left-hand side. Back into the blonde-haired Jordi Schouten. Now to the right-hand side to Teze. Plenty of players have gone forward into attack for the Netherlands here, but Wales have got plenty of defenders back to match them. And the Dutch are going to have to try and play their way through. That's a clever flick by Lang. However, he doesn't find a teammate with it. Wales get it back. Wilson tries to get it up to James, and strong play in the midfield by Koopmeiners means the Dutch regain possession once again. 0-0 in Cardiff. Malacia into the centre of the pitch to Schouten. Low ball, looking for Weghorst. It's going to fall here for Lang, and then his pass into the penalty area as well, intercepted. And Chris Mepham did well, and the ball is cleared away. Morrell to Ben Davis, on to Rhys Norrington Davis. Warm applause from the Welsh crowd as Wales play their way out from the back under pressure.
Got to say, the Dutch have got in a few, dangerous positions, but you've got to say the Welsh back three have come narrow, defended the space well, and got numbers around the ball. Like I say, they're comfortable when the Dutch have got the ball on the halfway line knocking it back, but when it gets to the edge of the box, you've got to say Wales have defended really well.
That's the voice of James Collins watching this game with us on 5 Live at Cardiff City Stadium. Brennan Johnson dropping deep. That's maybe one thing Rob Page would want in this game, for Johnson to get involved a little bit more. The service to him, he seems to be moving over to the left wing a little bit more now from his starting position on the right. That makes some space for Connor Roberts, who comes down that right channel now. However, he was offside as the pass was played to him, the delayed flag as we get used to these days, and Connor Roberts in an offside position, and that goes out. That will be a free kick to the visitors. Now, just to let you know, following us at 10 o'clock, golf correspondent Ian Carter and Dan Roan of BBC News are at the Live Invitational Series in Hertfordshire. They've been speaking to Phil Mickelson today, to Lee Westwood, to Ian Poulter. It's a controversial event, and we'll be discussing it all here on 5 Live after this live football tonight. That's at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, just picking up on your point there about Brennan Johnson, Dan James. What's happening is they're actually playing wide, so Holland are playing at a back three. So what Wales are trying to do, Brennan Johnson's playing one side and Dan James is the other, and really playing mainly on the outside of each of Holland's back three, which is good. It's making it hard for Holland to get through and forcing them into balls into midfield, which we're jumping on it and winning back. But when we win the ball back, both players are actually isolated, one on one side of the pitch and one on the other. So when they do get it, it's why we're struggling sometimes to regain possession and have good possession if we can't break quickly, because they're not playing as a two, they're playing as like a split strikers as much. I
think by doing that though, Sam, you're counting on Harry Wilson to make that late run through the middle and be the third attacker, if you like. And like I say, because Wales are defending, when quite deep when the Dutch have the ball, it's hard for Harry to do both jobs. He's sort of ratting around in midfield to help the boys out, but then when the ball does go forward, it's such a distance for him to get there. He's struggling a little bit at the minute, but it'll come. The boys are coming into this game nicely.
Breaking news from elsewhere in this group: Belgium are playing Poland tonight. Belgium, remember, who were heavily beaten by the Dutch in their opening match. They've gone 1-0 down. Belgium 0, Poland 1. I almost don't need to say who's scored, do I? Yeah, Robert Lewandowski has scored for Poland. So troubling times for the Belgians. Here in Cardiff, 0-0. I guess with Poland taking the lead there puts a little extra shine maybe on the Welsh performance last week against that Poland team. There's Gakpo here, feeds Malacia for the Netherlands, playing from right to left as we look down. 0-0 in Cardiff. Teze's ball into the penalty area was high and lofted. Weghorst got up off the ground, but he couldn't get the header on target. Gakpo pulls it back into the centre again, looking for the arrival of Koopmeiners, who made a good run, but it's cleared away, and Wales continue to defend resolutely. Noah Lang collects it for the Dutch, 10 yards outside the penalty area, veering in from right to left. He's got Koopmeiners alongside him. Now out to the right hand side to Hateboer. Back into Koopmeiners once again. Wales really doing well at closing down the available gaps, so there's nowhere really for the Dutch to go through, and they've gone from left to right, and now they're moving back from right to left again, and they're remaining outside the periphery of the final third. De Ligt back to Stefan de Vrij, the Inter player who finished second in Serie A behind city rivals AC Milan for the Italian title this season. It's won back by Mepham. He's surrounded by opponents, and he's tackled by Gakpo. The ball goes out for a Welsh throw. That's about as much as Mepham could have wished for there.
Yeah, Mepham did really well there, but just going back to it, Joe Rodon did it exceptional. You know, a ball deep into the box, he's backpedaling, and he's made a tremendous header, and sort of got him again after the header, got himself back into a good position and won the ball, and you know, Wales could get themselves at the pitch.
Picking up on a point you made earlier, James, that Wales, when Holland do break the midfield and they end up anywhere around the box, edge of the box, in the box, they swarm the ball, don't they? Not just the back three, the midfielders all recover.
Joe Morale's excellent at that, though. Joe Morale, when the ball goes into the centre forward, you know, he turns and he's ratting at the feet of the centre forward, which is perfect for a centre half. You know, going back to my club career, I had Mark Noble doing it for me for 15 years, and you know, it makes such a difference when your midfielder are willing to work back and help the defence out as well.
Some tackles flying into the midfield. Harry Wilson comes away with possession. Wales still looking to inject the tempo that you feel would benefit them, as Norrington Davis jumps, wins a header, but can't pick out a teammate, and the ball goes all the way through to the Dutch keeper, Mark Vlekken. Tim Krul, the Norwich City goalkeeper, had been in the Dutch squad this week, but he had to pull out with injury. They've called up a young Brighton goalkeeper, Kel Sherpen, who's only 22. He's been brought in. He is enormous. I was at Brighton the last day of the season. I stood, you know, the players all come out with their families and stuff, and he was in the tunnel. He's enormous. He must be one of the tallest footballers I've ever seen, Sherpen. This is the Dutch on the attack. Noah Lang outside of the right boot, flicks it into the penalty area. Ben Davies has got everything under control, and he comes away with possession. Rolls it short to Norrington Davis, cleared up to the halfway line. Brennan Johnson tries to release Dan James, but good covering, good positioning by de Vrij. Got himself a head start on Dan James, and he would have needed it. Here's the Dutch captain once again. Gives it in to a central position, to Malacia. Holland dictating the pace once again as they work up towards the halfway line. Malacia closed down by Dylan Levitt. Infield to Jordi Schouten. Schouten has been linked with a move to West Ham United. This is Teze, who's grown in stature in the game after a bit of a wobbly start. He looks much more comfortable now on his international debut. We have got about 8 minutes to go until half-time at Cardiff City Stadium. Stefan de Vrij, no pressure on him as he steps his way into Welsh territory. Passes to the right-hand side to Jordan Teze. Low ball was intended for Schouten, well intercepted by Dylan Levitt, but he can't hold on to it. And now into the penalty area comes Koopmeiners on the right-hand side, tries to pull it back and wins a corner. Corner to the Netherlands. Just a reminder, you know, sometimes they seem to be almost pedestrian in the central third. When they do go for it, they can inject pace, and they very quickly got the corner there.
Yeah, it takes one pass sometimes and they're in, but again, credit to Wales, you know, the numbers were back, you know, they were nice and narrow and difficult for the Dutch to pick out a clear ball into the box.
I think it's a really good point that I think a number of young Welsh players not got many caps. International football can go from pedestrian to very quick, very quickly.
Slow, quick, slow. As this is Noah Lang on the left-hand side. Low ball to De Ligt. Fancied a shot from outside the penalty area. Mepham was able to get his boot on it. Blocked that at source as the ball is cleared away by Levitt from the back. All his teammates are back defending, and that carries through to the Dutch goalkeeper Mark Vlekken away to our right-hand side. Still blue skies overhead in Cardiff, still plenty of daylight as we approach 8:30 in the evening. The joys of summer football. This is Wales' second group game in the Nations League. The Ukraine match, of course, the World Cup qualifier, but the opening defeat to Poland last week, that was in this group. Scotland leading Armenia the last time we heard from Roddy Forsyth, who's at Hampden. Roddy.
Yes, indeed, 1-0 with 7 minutes to go. It should be 2, though. There was a Shea Adam knockdown, perfectly placed for Ryan Christie, but he couldn't quite get his body adjusted over the ball, and he pitched it over the top. Scotland attacking, but still only 1-0 at the moment against Armenia.
Thanks very much, Roddy. 0-0 here in Cardiff between Wales and the Netherlands, as De Vrij plays the ball forward to Cody Gakpo. There has not been the room for these talented Dutch attacking players to show us what they can do so far. It's been very condensed, very congested. Good run here though by Koopmeiners, and a sliding challenge from Ben Davis. There was no margin for error there. He was inside the penalty area. If he had been a fraction of a second late there, it's a penalty, but he won the ball and he put it out for a throw, which the Dutch have taken quickly. Teze, centre circle, low pass to Shorten, under pressure from Brennan Johnson. Now De Ligt, back to De Vrij once again, right-footed pass to Noah Lang on the left-hand side. The Dutch tried to work their way through, and there's a foul given away by Joe Rodon, and a free kick to the Dutch just outside the penalty area left-hand side. It is wide out on the left. It's not really a shooting position, but a good platform to send in across.
He's done really well, Joe Rodon, in the initial part. You know, he's followed his man, you know, out deep, tried to get tight, a little bit too eager to win the ball, and unfortunately given a free kick away. But it's happened a few times, you know, the Dutch, you know, sort of centre forwards are coming deeper and deeper to get the ball, and like I say, credit to the Welsh defence, they're following them all the way and making the pass backwards and not making it easy for the Dutch team.
0-0 here. And the Dutch just have got a free kick on the edge of the penalty area, but we're going to go to Hampden immediately after this, as we wait to see what Koopmeiners is going to do. He and Gakpo are standing over it. It's Koopmeiners' delivery. It's a good one. Came in along the edge of the 6-yard box. Falls on the edge to Schouten. He's low. Cross hits through a forest of bodies, and Wales are able to survive. Back to Hampden. Scotland, Armenia. Another goal. Roddy Forsyth.
Yes, another goal for Scotland, I'm glad to say. And it was a John McGinn corner kick. Perfectly picked out. Scott McKenna at the back post. His first international goal. So he duplicates Anthony Ralston earlier. 2-0 for Scotland. 4 to go to the interval.
Thanks very much. Poland still 1-0 up on Belgium in this group, Group A4, the Wales-Netherlands group, as Malacia has possession for the visitors. Story this first half, really low on attempts at goal, dangerous chances. It's been mostly patient build-up play by the Dutch, and then attempts of rapid counter-attacking play by Wales. As a good cross played in by Hatterborg, and Weghorst was ready to pounce on it, and Wales have just about got it away. Back in from Noah Lang, who looks accusingly at the pitch after he balloons across, and I think he's looking for a divot, which, to be fair, it's a very smooth playing surface. I think he's looking for excuses there. Poor cross by Noah Lang.
Joe Rodon again. It's a lovely ball into the box. Joe Rodon, for a lad who hasn't played much you know, club football this season, you know, he's every time he's played for Wales, and certainly on Sunday and today again, his positioning, his clearances have been excellent, and he impresses me every time he wears the Welsh shirt.
Just seems to be in the right place at the right time, doesn't he? For every cross that comes in, he always seems to manage to get his head on, whether it's in the middle of the goal, back of the goal.
It's a good trait to have as a centre back, let me tell you.
Last time these sides met here at this stadium was 2015. It was a friendly, a proper 5-goal thriller. The Dutch beat Wales 3-2 in the end. We haven't quite had that excitement tonight. I think Ian Robben was one of the goal scorers that night in 2015. Some famous names have scored for the Dutch against Wales in the past. Ruud Gullit, Marco van Basten, Dennis Bergkamp. But so far tonight, we've yet to see those kind of star qualities from this current Dutch team. Jordan Teze builds his way patiently out for the back. Koopmeiners. Pressure by Joe Merrill. The clearance away from Teze is blocked, and that goes out for a throw-in. Throw into the Netherlands, still inside their own half. Just a couple of minutes to go now until half-time. The Dutch looking to extend their current 10-match unbeaten run. They haven't lost since Louis van Gaal has come back into the job. He's won trophies everywhere he's been. Van Gaal, 11 trophies with Ajax, 4 with Barcelona, 3 with Bayern Munich. And even in his, less than successful spell at Manchester United, he did still win the FA Cup, but you might remember he was sacked immediately afterwards. If you add up the 3 different stints he's had as Dutch manager, this is now his 55th game in charge of his country. An equaliser for Belgium at home to Poland. Axel Witsel has scored there to make it 1-1 just ahead of half-time. That's in this same group, Group A4. So free kick to Wales, 15 yards inside their opponent's half. Final minute of the regulation 45 before the break. Harry Wilson standing over it. He's got a host of teammates to aim for, holding a line on the edge of the penalty area. There's pushing. De Ligt goes down as the ball was in the air. The referee spotted it, blows the whistle, free kick to the Dutch. And Wales don't threaten with that particular set piece. So half-time almost upon us. It has the edgy feel of a competitive game, and I guess this is the advantage of the Nations League. Had this just been a pure friendly, you'd be thinking, oh, there'll be 7 or 8 substitutes now in the second half, and it's really going to spin away. But a little bit like the Germany-England game last night, although there aren't any goals so far, it's intriguing to watch, and you feel there could be something at any moment. Flacken clears long for the Dutch. Rodin jumps, but he's beaten in the air. Little flick on by Weghorst. This is Gakpo into the box, tries the chop back turn, and his shot is deflected away. Good defending again, and it was Mepham who got his body in to block it out for a corner. That's probably the most dangerous attack that the Dutch have mustered in the game so far. Corner to the Netherlands on the left-hand side.
Yeah, for all their play, it was actually just a long ball straight from the goalkeeper, straight through centre forward, flicked it on, through on goal. Again, Wales getting defenders around the ball and eventually getting a block and just going wide of that near post.
Koopmeiners has got to take the corner left-hand side. It's the first we've really seen of Gakpo in terms of a dangerous presence. He did a little chop turn in the penalty area, worked it well, got his shot away but blocked. Corners played in and headed away by was it Connor Roberts who got his forehead to it, straight out for a throw in. Just 1 minute being added on for stoppages here, so it's almost half time. Koopmeiners sends it in long, good distance on that throw. Hateboer, back for Noah Lang, chips it in, looking for Gakpo, who's well marshalled, and it's policed out by Connor Roberts, shielded all the way for a goal kick, and a goal kick for Danny Ward, who's not really had a proper save to make in this first half. So all in all, James Collins, I think Rob Page is going to be pleased with this opening.
I was just going to say that, Colin. I think Robert Page would be delighted with the way the first half's gone. Obviously, you're expecting the Netherlands to have a lot of the ball possession and be neat and tidy, but you've got to say when they've needed to, which is not a lot, Wales have defended really well and they've had a couple of chances themselves.
That's half time, 0-0. Sam Ricketts.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with James. Defence is on top at the minute. Wales have also had to do more defensive, but what we saw early on, not so much as the second half went on, but Wales have got a real good outlet on the break with Dan James and Brendan Johnson, Harry Wilson joining in, and if they can just get a little bit more link-up play between those three when we are breaking from deep, there's certainly chances hopefully in the second half.
In this World Cup year, Wales are going toe-to-toe with one of the big names of world football. Half-time in Cardiff, Wales 0, Netherlands 0.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. And James, everyone's in agreement that Rob Page will be happy at half-time, and Sam touched on a couple for him there, but what for you were the standouts from the Welsh performance? What were you pleased to see in that 45 minutes from Wales?
I think me being an ex-defender, I think, like I've touched on it, numerous times in the first half. I think the defending from Wales has been superb. Like I said, they have been caught out of position a few times, lost headers, and the balls dropped to the Dutch team. But they've got back in numbers, closed the space, and defended really well. So, like I said, if they can continue doing that, Robert Page has set this team up, like I said in commentary, to probably let the Dutch team have the ball. They're comfortable in their own half having the ball, but when it comes to the edge of the Wales box, again, they've defended superbly. So, like I said, Robert Page would be delighted with that first half. Like I said, we know the Dutch have made a lot of changes, and Wales have as well. And I think the boys who have come in, haven't had a lot of game time in the last couple of weeks, have done really well. So, I'll say it again, Robert Page will be more than happy with that first half.
And Sam, there were always going to be changes ahead of this one after what happened against Ukraine, but what we saw from Wales was some really good pressing, and also we saw great energy from the players.
Yeah, I think that's what you get with this side. I spoke about during commentary. Wales on Sunday went for a front 3-2, which were Keeper Moore and Gareth Bale. For all their talent, they've not got the legs to go and press and be high pressing. Because if you do get beat high pressing, you need to be able to recover very quickly. So with this younger squad, Harry Wilson down the middle, Brendan Johnson on the right, and obviously Dan James, they can afford to press and be more aggressive, and it's been fruitful for them, winning the ball back 3, 4, 5 times high up the pitch, which means obviously as it sounds, whether they do win the ball back, they're closer to the opposition's goal rather than win it back on the edge of their box, which they have done obviously as well. But then they need to travel the whole length of the pitch to score. Look good on the break. But I do like the aggressive press. I do like trying to make the Dutch goalkeeper go long and frustrate them, cause Holland problems. Don't just allow them to have good possession of the ball. And Dan James particularly has done that pressing very, very well high up the pitch.
Sam Ricketts, James Collins and Conor McNamara, thank you very much. So it is half-time at the Cardiff City Stadium and it is goalless between Wales and Netherlands. Let me just bring you up to date with what else is taking place in Group A4. It is one apiece between Belgium and Poland. Robert Lewandowski gave the away side Poland the lead and Belgium pulled it back, so it's 1-1 there. If we move over to Group B1, starting with the Republic of Ireland, it's goalless against the Ukraine, and I believe, have we hit Roddy Forsyth half-time at Hampden Park?
We're about to. We've had a long stoppage time added to stoppage time, and that's because Scott McKenna thought he had scored his second goal in the night and Scotland's third, but a long VAR check eventually established that there was an offside player. Rather fancy that it was him himself, but it doesn't matter because the referee chalked it off. Could have been John Souttar. He was also up helping the front line. And at any rate, Scotland trudge off the damp field with a 2-goal advantage. They got that through Anthony Ralston and Scott McKenna, both of them scoring their first goals for Scotland, so it's been a productive night for them and for the manager. At the moment, Steve Plum, just watching him talking to his players as they go off. And of course there's a half to come, so high hopes of Scotland exercising to some extent the memory of their World Cup ejection by Ukraine here last week. 2-0 against Armenia.
Roddy, thank you very much. You get second half commentary of Scotland-Armenia on Sports Extra to come here on 5 Live Sport. We'll have the second half of Wales against the Netherlands. We'll keep you up to date on everything else. And coming up very shortly, we're going to be digging a little bit deeper into what's taking place at Derby County at the moment. With the time now 8:35, let's get the news on 5 Live with Tom Gale.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Talks are expected in the next few days between Network Rail and the RMT union in an attempt to avoid widespread strike action later this month. Tens of thousands of workers are due to walk out on the 21st, 23rd and 25th of June. Only about a fifth of train services in England, Scotland and Wales are expected to run. Tony Miles from the specialised news service Rail Business UK explains the reasons why RMT members are unhappy.
They haven't had a pay increase, most of them, for 2.5 years. From the point the pandemic caused everyone to stop using the railways, the government took over funding the railways. The emergency contracts it threw out to the companies that said you're not to talk about pay. And they're also concerned about the new structure of the railways, which could see either some redundancies or changes to their terms and conditions.
Government sources have indicated that retailers failing to pass on the cut in fuel duty could be named and shamed. Downing Street says many filling stations haven't yet implemented the 5p cut announced in March. The Prime Minister's spokesman said transparency may be an important role to play in tackling the problem. The comment came a day after the price of petrol rose by more than 2p a litre, the biggest daily jump in 17 years. John Johnson from a coach firm in Warwickshire says he and his customers are taking a hit.
Our customers are understanding because they see the headlines about fuel and the cost of living increases. But I can't pass it all on. I've got to absorb some, which means my investment plans in new and more environmentally friendly coaches for next year will be affected.
The former Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein is to be charged with indecent assault against a woman in London in 1996. The Metropolitan Police said the decision was taken following a review of the evidence gathered by its officers. And 2 people are missing after a boat capsized in a lake near Oakhampton in West Devon. 4 other adults have been rescued. A search operation is continuing.
I've had an idea for a podcast, a travel podcast, all about staying at home. I can't believe I'm getting to make it either. I'm Sean Keaveney, and I'm not really a big fan of travelling. I love my home. But in my new podcast, guests will try to convince me and my comedian friend, Izzy Lawrence, that their favourite destination is worth getting off the sofa for.
Sometimes you're stopped on the street by policemen who've put up a roadblock as a fundraiser.
Your place or mine. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport with Gigi Salmon.
And it's lovely to have your company this Wednesday evening. Still to come, the second half of Wales-Netherlands, goalless at half-time. We will be back for commentary at the Cardiff City Stadium. And over on Sports Extra, you'll get the second half of Scotland-Armenia. That's in Group B1. The Scots leading 2-0 at half-time, and we'll keep you across all the other scores. But some football news from today. And Liverpool have rejected a £30 million offer by Bayern Munich for Sadio Mane. It's understood the club want around 43 million for the player. Tottenham have signed England goalkeeper Fraser Forster. That is on a free transfer for 2 years. He'll join the club once his contract at Southampton expires on the 1st of July. And Derby County's takeover is in doubt as US businessman Chris Kirchner's attempt to buy the club, that is in danger of collapsing. Kirchner previously said that the deal would happen today, but BBC Radio Derby reports the funds promised by him to pay club wages for May have not arrived. And BBC Radio Derby commentator Ed Dawes joins us now. And Ed, firstly, thank you for still being awake, because I heard your interview on BBC Radio Derby this morning, and you started by saying that you'd been up all night because there is a lot going on at the moment. It is not what Derby fans want to be hearing, but what can you tell us about where we're at with this?
It's been a long day. Yeah, thanks. Good evening, Gigi. Yeah, basically, this story has been rolling on and on and on and on. And if we go right back to May the 17th, Chris Kirchner declared that he would be the new owner of Derby County and that he would start funding the club in the following week. That was nearly 3 weeks ago now. And as of this morning, his funds hadn't arrived in the UK from his business bank account in America. And I understand that the deal was and is, and still could be, in danger of collapse. Now, Kirchner, of course, was involved before Christmas until stumbling blocks at the stadium led him to walk away. He's very much Wayne Rooney's man and very much involved with Paul Stretford, the agent of Wayne Rooney, and Gary Cook, the former chief exec of Manchester City. So there's quite a lot of involvement in this deal. Now, this afternoon, this story has continued to rumble on, and we've been waiting for confirmation from the EFL from their meeting today, which, of course, would have discussed Derby at some length, I'm sure, as they always have done, and also from the administrators and the local group Team Derby, who have had an information with the administrators, a dialogue over recent months to get the stadium sale from Mel Morris to a new owner completed. This evening, as we went on air with Sports Scene at 6, we were very much talking about this next step and whether Chris Kirchner would become the new owner of Derby County. And just before we went off air at 10 to 7, it became apparent that the administrators would end Chris Kirchner's exclusivity in dealing with them to force the sale through. So therefore, he's buying just the football club. He's not buying the stadium. And that is part of, that is his only deal. Now, the problem, as I mentioned just a moment ago, the funds haven't arrived in the UK. And that is why administrators, the EFL, were getting tired of the situation. So the real new line this evening is that the exclusivity period is set to be ended by the administrators. And therefore, it opens the door to anyone who reckons they can close the deal.
Because I took a look at Kirchner's Twitter account, because he's normally quite chatty, and I found a few tweets about Rafael Nadal, saying he's really good on clay. Now, no one is going to dispute that. But then he was trying to reassure the Derby fans, and he was saying, well, it's been a few bank holidays, and therefore, if you put the bank holidays together, that's why we've got these delays. But that was, I think, 6 days ago, so he has gone fairly quiet recently.
He has, and throughout this whole process, even before Christmas, when he was involved the first time around, he engaged the supporters on Twitter in dialogue about his plans, about his hopes. He was the first person, once Derby went into administration, to put his head above the parapet, and he wrote an open letter to supporters, which, you know, was an absolute blessing for supporters. So from September, from that Friday night when we broke the story on Radio Derby that Derby County would be calling in the administrators. From that Friday night, the fans have been absolutely, well, in despair. So Kirchner comes along, he writes a letter saying, I'm here, I want to buy your club, I'm going to try and do a deal. And since then, the dialogue with fans has been open about the plans, about the players he wants to work with Wayne Rooney to sign. He's a big fan, as I mentioned, of Wayne Rooney. But yeah, as you say, 2nd of June, the deal was supposed to go through on the 31st. It was extended by a day, and then nothing until today, when I sort of learned that the deal was on the verge of collapse.
Ed Dawes, I think you're in for another long night. So
yeah,
thank you
just one final thing. Just one final thing before I go, because I know you're busy. I am getting reports this evening that those funds may have cleared this evening. So, yeah, a long night and probably a very early morning.
Ed, good luck. Ed Dawes from BBC Radio Derby. They've been fantastic with the news about what is taking place. And as you heard there, he is hearing that the money may have cleared. So we'll bring you any news we get on that. A little bit of golf for you, and Bryson DeChambeau is set to be the latest golfer to join the Live Golf Invitational Series. Now, this is billed as the world's most lucrative golf event. Rory McIlroy is on the PGA Tour, and he's actually ruled himself out of joining the Live.
It's not something that I want to participate in. I certainly understand the guys that have went. I understand what their goals and their ambitions are in their life, and I'm not certainly not knocking anyone for going. It's their life, it's their decision. They can live it the way they want to, but for me, I want to play on the PGA Tour against the best players in the world, and obviously money is a deciding factor in a lot of things in this world, but if it's purely for money, it never seems to go the way you want it to.
Rory McIlroy ruling himself out of joining the Live, and there'll be more golf coming up at 10 tonight with Ian Carter. But for now, and don't forget on Sports Extra, you got commentary the second half of Scotland-Armenia. Scotland leading by 2-0. But for us, let's get back to Cardiff for the second half commentary of Wales-Netherlands with our team of Sam Ricketts, James Collins and Conor McNamara.
Thanks very much, Gigi. Wales are back out for the second half. The Dutch are just in the tunnel. We can see them on our monitors. They'll be out any moment now. One change for Rob Page over half-time. It smacks of a pre-arranged agreement. It's a change of goalkeeper. Danny Ward, who played the first 45 minutes, has been replaced by Sheffield United's Adam Davis. I wonder, Sam, if you're a goalkeeper and you didn't really have a save to make after 45 minutes, do you feel, OK, this is good, I'm going off with a clean sheet, or do you feel, I wish I had a bit more to impress?
No, I think Danny Ward would want to stay on, to be honest with you. I feel like he's not really had much to do. He certainly didn't have a save to make. Obviously, talking, organising, yes. Very little actually distribution as well on top of that, so I'm sure he would have wanted to play on, but like you said, it was obviously pre-agreed to give Adam some game time as well.
And we spoke about Joe Rodon not playing much of the Premier League for Spurs. Danny Ward only made his first ever Premier League appearance for Leicester last month. I mean, that's the trouble when you're back up to Kasper Schmeichel, who never misses a game. You don't get to play very often. He did play in 4 cup games this season, Danny Ward, but in a World Cup year he'll want to play more often. A guy who at one stage was definitely the first choice for Wales, and now he's obviously got that competition with Wayne Hennessy and Adam Davis, who's now on now. It's only his 4th cap. The player who joined Sheffield United from Stoke in January came on for the last half hour against the Czech Republic in March. We're back underway. Just scanning. I don't think there's any changes in personnel for the Dutch. 0-0, a game in which the Netherlands had 62% possession in the first half. That to be expected, their style of play. But it'll be interesting to see if Wales can get a bit more of a grip of things now in a game that's, for all its competitiveness, has been a little bit flat. It needs a spark. Obviously something like the introduction of Bale would deliver that, but is there anything else, James Collins, you could see that Wales could do to liven this up a little bit?
Yeah, Sam touched on it first half. Dan James and Brennan Johnson are playing a little bit wide. Maybe they could go, play someone through the middle. Like you say, if Gareth Bale goes on, he'll obviously be that man. But Robert Page would be happy for the time being. Like I say, they're defending well when they have to and trying to take their chances.
This is Weghorst in front of Gakpo, but his run was tracked all the way, and good defending. Joe Rodon just matched him stride for stride and got it away out towards that corner flag, where Dan James is now wrestling to try and keep it at play. Gakpo kept up the pressure, and the ball goes out for a throw into Wales. Left full back position for them. So Wales now lining up with Adam Davis in goal. 3 central defenders, Mepham, Rodon and Ben Davis. And then in the midfield, with Conor Roberts and Reece Norrington-Davis in the wing-back positions, Joe Morrell and Dylan Levitt in the middle, Harry Wilson pushing on, Brennan Johnson and Daniel James out wide. The Dutch team in just a moment, they're on the attack. Hateboer to Koopmeiners on the right wing. Tight congested area, gives it infield to Schouten. Schouten to the edge of the area to Gakpo. Now taken off his toe by Noah Lang. These are all very short passes, 3-4 yards in distance as the Dutch keep it tight inside the Welsh half. Teze gives the ball away to Dan James. He's fortunate, Teze, that it's immediately won back by Schouten. The Dutch have it again after two players collided and fell to the ground. The play continues with Malacia, 10 yards outside the penalty area, left-hand side. Schouten back to De Ligt. De Ligt who likes to come forward from that left central defensive position, and he's crept in beyond the defenders here. De Ligt in the penalty area, tried to pull it back for Gakpo, and it's another interception. Wales have been doing that all night, and Mepham, the player this time, who gets it away.
Yeah, Dylan Levitt did really well there. You know, they've caught out of position, Wales, you know, down the right-hand side, Conor Roberts, but Dylan Levitt's come back in and filled the space. Perfect for a midfielder for the cutback and cleaned up nicely.
So Wales 0, Netherlands 0. The Dutch team, Mark Flekken in goals. Three central defenders, Jordan Teze on his debut, Stefan de Vrij of Inter Milan, Matthijs de Ligt, Hateboer and Malacia. The wing-backs, Hateboer made some excellent sliding tackles in the first half. Koopmeiners and Schouten, Jordi Schouten, an international debutant, the Bologna player, with Cody Gakpo, Noah Lang and Wout Weghorst in attack. 13th cap tonight for Weghorst, the Burnley striker. Dutch free kick, 10 yards outside the penalty area. Slightly left of centre. Adam Davis, who I'm not sure has even touched the ball since coming on at half-time. He's now marshalling a defensive wall here. He stepped over to the post on the right-hand side to make sure the angles are correct. He's got bright yellow goalkeeping gloves, Adam Davis. Looks like one of the central defenders, Teze, is the player standing over this. So he's just a decoy. It is Koopmeiners, and he shoots and he's got it wide. Wales 0, Netherlands 0, 3 minutes played in the second half. Sam Ricketts.
Yeah, a player I'd really like Wales to try and get more on the ball is Harry Wilson. Spoke a little bit about him half-time. He's had a fantastic season at Fulham. He's playing with full of confidence. Every time he gets the ball, he looks to play forward. I think his passing's crisp, and there's a real creative force in that Wales midfield. You just can't seem to get him on the ball enough. I've seen him trying to instruct that if we were on the right-hand side, can we switch it quicker into him, as he's playing on the left of our midfield three. But I think he's a real key player for Wales to progress from an attacking point of view.
I think he's aware of what's going on behind him though as well, Sam. You know, obviously we know he's an attacking player and creative and creates chances, but Wales are having to work so hard in the midfield areas that I feel like he thinks he's got to do a job to help his teammates out, and then that's why he's struggling to get on the ball at the minute. But you're right, you know, if we can get him on the ball more, you know, it's going to make things happen for Wales.
Here come the Netherlands. Matthijs de Ligt on the left-hand side. Back into the midfield. Noah Lang. He's got the sweatbands on his wrist. Short to the feet of Gakpo with his back to goal, and then Weghorst gives it back to Lang once again. Swivels around full 360 degrees, glides it with the outside of his boot to the left wing to Malacia, who steps into the penalty area. There's definitely been an increase in pace for the Dutch since half-time. And here is Koopmeiners, and it's score. Rolled into the penalty area by Schouten. Koopmeiners, for once in that little half yard of space, he was able to take a touch and turn, and he drilled it low down beyond Adam Davis, who apart from a goal kick hasn't had to touch the ball yet since coming on. Wales 0, Netherlands 1, and a bit of quality there from the high profile visitors. It's a well taken goal.
It is, and you've got to say Holland have started well. You know, it's, after we mentioned Wales' defender, I think it's the first time where one of those balls has found a man in space. You know, the Wales defenders were slow to come out, and it's a nice turn, and you know, he's took the goal really well.
I think the back three have just dropped deeper and deeper and deeper there, haven't they, James? You know, I think when the time the shot struck, they're actually only 7 yards off the goal line, so they really just allowed Holland to pin them in too deep whilst they had possession on the edge of the box.
As Conor said, I think that's come from Holland's start to the second half. You know, as you could clearly see, it was much more intense and much more purposeful, and you know, like I say, the chances come, and he's taking it well.
First international goal for the Atalanta midfielder, Teun Koopmeiners, and now Wales have got to try and come from behind. Here comes Harry Wilson through the midfield, plays a very neat 1-2 with Brennan Johnson. That's the crowd up on their feet. Dylan Levitt back to Joe Morrell, and then Back out to the right-hand side where Levitt has a chance to look up. He thought about delivering it early, but then plays a short pass back into the midfield. Roden now. Wales playing right to left as we look down. The timing of the goal, significant for the Dutch. Early stages of the second half sets the mood now. They've got a lead to defend, and they'll also be inspired that the first time they put a bit of pace into the game, they managed to get a goal, and I wouldn't be surprised if they try that again more often now. Here comes Chris Mepham. Close patrolling of him by Gakpo. Wales still have it with the defenders. Ben Davies with the captain's armband into Joe Roden. The Dutch now sitting deep. It's up to Wales to try and build through them. Dan James short to Ben Davies. To the left-hand side to Norrington Davis. To the byline. Tries to cross. Blocked by Hans Hatteboer. Wales try to resuscitate the move. Dan James wins it back. Off Koopmeiners on the edge of the penalty area. Down he goes into the penalty area, Dan James. But the referee was right beside that. And I have to say it smacked a little bit of theatrics as he dramatically fell to the ground. There's no penalty there for Dan James, and Holland trying to counter-attack, and look at Hatteboer go. Real injection of pace. Matched though by Joe Roden. Brilliant defending again. And he rolls it back to the goalkeeper Davis, who clears it left-footed up to the halfway line. It's almost like roles are changed now, with Wales trying to apply the pressure and the Dutch trying to get them on the counter-attack. Connor Roberts in a bit of room on the right-hand side. Game moving at an altogether faster pace now than it was in the more pedestrian opening 45 minutes. Dan James, 15 yards outside the penalty area, sees a little gap, tries to sprint into it. Matched by Koopmeiners, turns back at himself, delivers a cross, which to Fry wins. The header on the edge of the 6-yard box. Joe Morrell tries to give it back into the penalty area again, and Jordan Teze is there to clear it away, and it is role reversal now, with the Dutch being forced to sit deep.
Yeah, better by Wales, having good possession now actually in the Dutch half, moving the ball quicker, moving the Dutch around and creating the spaces that the Dutch were finding in the first half.
Wales 0, the Netherlands 1. Brennan Johnson, first time touch to Dylan Levitt. Back to the halfway line once again. Louis van Gaal sitting down there. What his tactics will be now in the second half. Now his team have got a lead. Norrington Davis, cross from the left, but there's no one at the front post for Wales. Brennan Johnson had run to the back post. That was easy pickings for the goalkeeper Mark Flecken, but Wales beginning to find space, beginning to find wide areas, and beginning to get in and around the Netherlands penalty area. This is Jordan Teze at the back for the Dutch. Right-footed ball, trying to scoop it over Norrington Davis, who jumps with the taller Hatteboer, does well. Ben Davis will help it back, and he was caught late there by Weghorst. It was very late. The pass had been clearly played. Weghorst had pent up energy in his run, and he's clattered into the Tottenham defender. Ben Davis lying down on his back with his hands across his face.
I think it's totally, innocuous. I think he hasn't meant anything. It's just coming together, and I think Weghorst is that big. I think Ben's just run into his shoulder, to be honest.
It's like running into a brick wall with Weghorst, and good to say that Ben Davis is back up on his feet and Wales are back underway. 10 minutes played in the second half. This is Mepham to the halfway line to Dan James. Back now to Joe Roden as a solitary seagull comes sailing in over the pitch to have a bird's eye view of proceedings down on the playing surface. Scotland had enjoyed a good first half against Armenia. On the way for the second period at Hampden. Here's Roddy Forsyth.
Yes, Armenia made 3 changes, and they're all defensive changes as they again sit back against the waves of Scottish attack. Scotland leading by 2-0. McKenna and Ralston getting them in both cases their first goals for their country. Promising. Scotland 2, Armenia 0.
Thanks very much. So in this group A4 in the Nations League, the other 2 teams in action tonight. 1-1 between Belgium and Poland, and as it stands at the moment, the Dutch, who began on the top of the table at the start of today, leading here as they do, they would go back above Poland and be top of the group. Wales, as things stand, will be bottom of the group, facing a second straight defeat, but they've got most of this second half to try and turn that around. Rob Page is up on his feet. He's out on the edge of the technical area, bellowing on some instructions down there as the Dutch prepared to take a throw in. Right side for them. Hatteboer puts a bit of distance on it, looking for the tall Weghorst, but beaten in the air by the much shorter Joe Morrell. This is Joe Roden. Again, no real high press from the Dutch now. They're happy to invite Wales onto them. Ben Davis will bring it over the halfway line. Oh, sold a lovely dummy there to Koopmeiners. Now he's patrolling his way towards the edge of the penalty area. Levitt to the right hand side looking for Conor Roberts, but it's easily picked out by Malacia, and a promising Wales attack breaks down. Malacia up to the halfway line. Feeds it to Weghorst. 3-on-3 if he's quick enough here to Cody Gakpo. Wales have committed bodies forward. They're trying to get them back now. Gakpo tries to cross with the outside of his right boot, and it's blocked away off Mepham, and it goes out for a throw-in by the corner flag that the Dutch attack down the left-hand side. And that goal has changed the whole complex of this game. It's more entertaining, it's more open now, as Wales push for an equaliser. They're leaving gaps which the Netherlands might exploit. Wales 0, the Netherlands 1 for now. Throw in for Malacia, takes his time over it, 5 yards from the corner flag. The Dutch attack down the left-hand side, throws it short to the feet of Schouten. Back to Malacia once again, back to the halfway line, and the captain De Vrij. Wales holding a line of defence along the edge of their own penalty area. Weghorst in front of Gakpo, out comes the goalkeeper, flicks it beyond him and wide.
I was going to say it's got to be offside.
Yeah, wouldn't have counted anyway. Flag went up late, but just for a moment Gakpo thought he was in.
Very similar to the first half, you know, they're trying those intricate balls, the Dutch, and Wales defended it really well. But the start of the second half, you know, they've got in once or twice, and I'd say it was offside, but it was nice play around the edge of Wales's box from the Dutch.
The Netherlands have only failed to score once in their last 23 internationals, 24 now, including today. The last team to hold them to a blank was the Czech Republic, and that was when they beat the Netherlands. But a little break in play here while Joe Moore is receiving some treatment. It's around about his right foot, right ankle area. Some of the Dutch players coming across to get some drinks on board. Koopmeiners' goal separating the teams. And it is 1-0 to the Dutch here. Latest scores elsewhere. Belgium 1, Poland 1. In League B Group 1, Ukraine are leading the Republic of Ireland in Dublin. And back to Roddy for side. This game on Sports Extra, but Scotland still in front against Armenia.
There was a big claim for Scotland for a free kick just outside the box when Adams was fouled. They didn't get it. It was a close run thing. They are pressing again. This time Andy Robertson with a throw in. He gets that across the area. It's still not cleared properly by Armenia. McGregor has it, gives it to Robertson. The Liverpool man wins himself a throw in. Deep below us on the left hand side, level with the Armenian penalty area. As you can guess from what I'm saying, it's pretty well Scotland rolling the Armenians up like a rug at the moment, and that rug, the edge of it on the edge of their penalty area. Still 2-0 for Scotland at the moment. We've gone 55 minutes. Does that applause mean that things are moving again with you?
We're good to go. Thanks, Roddy. Following us at 10 o'clock, golf correspondent Ian Carter and Dan Rowan at the Live Invitational Series in Hertfordshire. They've been speaking to Phil Mickelson, Lee Westwood and Ian Poulter today ahead of that controversial event. We'll be discussing it here on 5 Live from 10 o'clock. So Joe Morrell has had to make way. Ruben Colville will come in, the Cardiff City midfielder. He knows every blade of grass on this pitch, but an enforced change for Rob Page, and that is the second Welsh substitution of the game. So now Colville into the midfield alongside Dylan Levitt, two young, inexperienced players there against the Dutch now in that central area.
We might see a bit more of an attacking threat here from Wales. It looks like Ruben Colwell's gone straight up to play almost as a number 9. We talked about Dan James and Brennan Johnson playing wide. It looks like, you know, Colwell's gone straight through the middle as a sort of like an old-fashioned number 9 maybe.
And Wilson a bit deeper.
You've got to look at how Wales are going to score a goal in this game. They've not really had anything down the middle, and due to the wide front players, really everything has come down the width with the wing backs and whoever the wide forward has been on that side. So we are doing that, but we need someone in the box to score once we do get those crosses coming in from the wide areas.
Sam Ricketts and James Collins watching this game with us, two former Welsh internationals in Cardiff tonight. Wales 0, the Netherlands 1. The goal early stages of this second half from Koopmeiners, his first in international football. Here is Harry Wilson, 12 yards inside the Dutch half, trying an ambitious crossfield ball here for Norrington Davis, who takes it down on his chest, rolls it back to the captain Ben Davis, low to the feet now of Brennan Johnson. Two defenders around him, but he's managed to smuggle it away to Harry Wilson. Ball back into the centre. Dan James tried to shoot, but almost a fresh air shot. It was a chance. He was in between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box, but he couldn't get his body in the right position to get a shot on target.
Should have. The cross came in. He tried to side foot it with his right foot, jumping in the air, missed it and hit his standing left leg. What a chance, middle of the goal.
Colwell has just come on, gives it to Harry Wilson. And that's a good pass along the halfway line to Wales' left. Ben Davies gives it to Rhys Norrington-Davies, and then down the left wing for Dan James, up against Jordan Teze. Tries to play his way into the penalty. He pushed it, he tried to sprint after it, but he pushed it too far, and another defender was able to get it away. But Wales win it back in the midfield. Good work for Ben Davies. Norrington-Davies hangs in across. Conor Roberts was arriving from right wing back. He clattered into Malacia. The ball ricocheted up in the air and eventually was claimed by Mark Flecken, the goalkeeper. But Wales 1-0 down, but certainly having a go now as we pass the hour mark in Cardiff. Teze's clearance into the midfield. Looks like a foul on Noah Lang, and it is by Ben Davies, and a free kick to the Netherlands midway inside their own half.
Just watching Dan James there again, I think we talked about his final product and, you know, his end product. I feel like he squares full-backs up or you know, wing-backs up, and he tends to cut it with a man of his pace. You know, I feel like he could go down the line a lot more and dink the ball back stick, but he seems to come inside more than he goes down the line. And, you know, a lot older than Dan James, but all the managers that I played with, or quick players I played with, you know, used to go down to the line, get to the byline, and, you know, and dink it to the back stick. He just seems to come inside too much for me.
What happens is he actually ends up being predictable with his pace. He needs to go down the outside first 2 or 3 times, and then it will have space for him to cut inside and shoot. But like you said, definitely you've got to use your pace. If you're quick, use your pace.
Dan James, who scored 2 goals for Leeds in one game against Aston Villa in February, hasn't scored since. Did get the winner against the Czech Republic last year in Wales World Cup qualifying group. And he's back in that central attacking role at the moment as Wales have possession on the halfway line. Dylan Levitt back to Chris Mepham. On his right shoulder is Joe Rodon, and Wales work it over to the right hand side, and Conor Roberts. Netherlands happy for them to have the ball here in this central third. The Dutch playing much deeper now. It's almost a line of 7 or 8 in defence. Midway inside their own half. It's up to Wales to try and break through that, as Colwell does good. And the young man who just turned 20 in April, 5th international appearance for him tonight, Ruben Colwell. But it's broken down here for Wales. De Ligt will roll it back to the goalkeeper, Mark Flecken, once again.
The Dutch are enticing Wales on from there. They know Wales have got to come out and score a goal, or certainly create chances and be a bit more, you know, pragmatic going forward to create those chances. So, like you say, they're happy to defend, and then obviously more spaces are gonna come for them to create chances at the other end.
It's been a week of celebration for Welsh football. First time in 64 years that they'll be going to a World Cup. And 1-0 down here against the Netherlands. There is still time to salvage a result here this evening in Cardiff. Colville gives it back to Mepham. He's going to try a long ball here, looking to release Dan James on the left wing. Hateboer, well positioned, is able to cushion a header down, but Norrington-Davies picks that up and veers infield from left to right. He's got Harry Wilson with him. Early to the right hand side to Conor Roberts. Has a little look up. There was plenty teammates in the centre, but they're going to try and work it into the box here. Wilson plays a 1-2, can't quite get on the end of it. He was unfortunate there, just seemed to bounce away from him the second time, and the Netherlands are able to clear it long into the Welsh half. Goal elsewhere in the group. Belgium have taken the lead. Belgium 2, Poland 1. Kevin De Bruyne has scored. So Belgium, who were 1-0 down in that game after a Lewandowski goal, turn it around now to lead 2-1. Netherlands, who beat Belgium on Friday by 4-1. Here's Levitt for Wales, midway inside the Dutch half. Oh, that's happened a few times. He's tried a pass that's been cut out by Cody Gakpo, and now the Netherlands try to counter-attack. Weghorst challenged well by Ben Davies on the halfway line. The Dutch hold on to possession though. Hateboer has it on the right-hand side. Gives it into Jordi Schouten. Back to Hateboer. 2 players around him. He's got to retreat, and he gives it back to Jordan Teze, away to his left-hand side. There's 2 changes about to be made. 2 high-profile players about to come on for the Netherlands. Bergwijn of Tottenham is one of them. Frankie de Jong of Barcelona is the other. Gakpo tries to work his way into the Welsh penalty area, but Joe Rodon is there and clears it away. Straight to Koopmeiners, the man whose goal separates the teams. 65 minutes on the clock in Cardiff. Wales 0, the Netherlands 1. This is Noah Lang. Little acceleration down the left-hand side. Malacia's low cross is straight at Levitt, and Wales are able to clear it away. Only as far as De Ligt, though. Could pressure this from the Dutch as they come again. Noah Lang just outside the penalty area, left-hand side. First time layoff by Gakpo, trying to give it to Malacia. Too many Welsh defenders back. Now, this is what Dan James has been waiting for. A sprinting opportunity. Teze's trying to get back, but Dan James is on his bike here. De Vrij came across well, and James cuts in again, and that's sort of what you were talking about, Sam. He didn't take on the defender on the outside. He tried to come in field. Harry Wilson, back heel to Dan James again, shoots, and it's too high from outside the penalty area. It goes into the Welsh supporters behind that goal, and Harry Wilson is rolling around on the ground, and I hope he's not hurt, as he's tended to here by the referee, but it looks like he might need some treatment. 66 minutes played, Wales 0, Netherlands 1. An exciting break from Dan James, but no end product.
Yep, it was a better start by Dan James, dropping the shoulder, knocking the ball 10 yards, run after it, another 10 yards run after it. Defender couldn't get back in. And again, like we were saying, he's actually let the defender off. I'm not saying he's through on goal, but he can carry on driving down the outside. As soon as you go in that box, that defender cannot touch you at all.
But he's cut back, like I mentioned it before, even cut across the front of the defender.
Yeah.
And then, and like you say then, Sam, he can't touch him, and then he's into, rather than going down the side, he's in towards goal if he just cuts across him.
But it was a better break in the initial bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So the changes have been made by Louis van Gaal. He has taken off for Gakpo. He's brought on Steven Bergwijn of Tottenham. And he's taken off the debutant Schouten, and he's brought on Frenkie de Jong of Barcelona, who I read this week has been linked with a move to Manchester United to reunite with Erik ten Hag. Frenkie de Jong, who did some media work for the Dutch yesterday, and he was asked about the style of play, and he said he prefers the way Louis van Gaal asks him to play for Holland than the way he gets asked to play for Barcelona, which I always think is, when a player goes on international duty and says they don't like the way they're playing at their club, it's a little bit of a come and get me plea, I always think.
It's a plea, isn't it? Someone please come and get me.
And Frenkie de Jong, who emerged at a young age at Ajax and did so well. He's still very young. He's only just turned 25 last month. He's now on in the midfield, and let's see what he can do. He's bang on the halfway line at the moment, wearing silver boots. Rolls it low to the feet of Bergwijn, the other substitute who's just come on. Steven Bergwijn has struggled for goals at Tottenham this season. He's played a 1-2 here. He's into the penalty area. Cross comes Rodon. Good challenge again. And the ball is cleared away by Norrington Davis, and it goes out for a throw into Wales. But good introduction there. De Jong linking up with Bergwijn, both players immediately into the thick of it. Netherlands leading Wales 1-0 here in Cardiff on 5 Live for the BBC. Quarter of the game to go. Ben Davies will take the throw in. Left-hand side for Wales. Flicked on by Colwill, came off the back of his neck more than his head, really. Picked up by Frenkie de Jong. Infield to his old Ajax teammate, Matthijs de Ligt. Technically very good players, the Dutch. There's been so few wayward passes from them tonight. Teze, short to Noah Lang. Don't feel we've seen the best of him so far. Back to Teze once again. And that's a good ball into Bergwijn, who's occupying the number 10 role at the moment. Tried to roll it in front of Noah Lang, but Norrington Davis was back there. Good touch, and Wales can clear it away. But being forced to play deeper than you feel they want to. Wales, who want to push, want to get an attack. Colwell's been shouted at here to get up and put a bit of pressure on Frenkie de Jong here. But the Netherlands come at them again. Crowd sensing their team need a lift, and the chants of Wales echo around the Cardiff City Stadium. Here is Teze, right-footed ball, stretching out towards the left-hand side to Malacia, and a header back by Conor Roberts. He hoped it might go for the Davis, the goalkeeper, but it's gone out for a corner.
Yeah, Holland just starting to impose themselves now. So what Wales have done, so they've really kind of like released the midfielder since Colwell's come on, and he's sort of like playing half as a number 9 and as a real attacking midfielder. So what Holland are doing now, they're dominating that area behind where Harry Wilson, the young Matty Smith who's just come on. Yeah. You know, they're the two of them. They're not doing anything wrong, but there's 2 versus 3 or 4 players, and they can't always get to all players.
Yeah, Matt Smith, who's come on, the former Manchester City player, now at MK Dons. Into the midfield, played against Poland last week as well. Netherlands have possession inside the centre circle with Malacia. To the left-hand side to de Jong. It's all Holland at the moment. Frenkie de Jong. Back to the left-hand side. Malacia's touch. Back to de Ligt. Wales can't get a kick at the moment. 5 defenders, Smith in the holding role in the midfield, and then everyone else trying to attack for Wales ahead of that with Dan James, Brennan Johnson, Harry Wilson and Ruben Colwell. But at the moment it's all defensive duty for the home side. Referee not happy that the ball was rolling as the free kick was taken there, and he gives a shrug of the shoulders. He say, what can I do? Rule is the rules. Don't at me is the sort of facial expression that Glenn Nyberg was given there, the Swedish referee. Possession with De Vrij for the Netherlands. Gives it to Hateboer on the right hand side, back into Jordan Teze just inside his own half. Ball towards Bergwijn, who fell, and somehow, even though he fell to the ground, was able to play a pass off his knee to De Jong. That was brilliant from Bergwijn. He's got it back again here on the edge of the tee. Gives it to Hateboer on the right hand side. Now the cross from Noah, nearly chipped the goalkeeper, and the barest of fingertips on it from Adam Davis to push it away. That could have spun into the far top corner, and the Netherlands unlucky not to go 2-0 up.
That was brilliant from Bergwijn. He was on the floor. Ball's fizzed into him at pace, and somehow he's laid it off, and then give a good ball wide. And I think Adam Davis has sort of misjudged that a little bit. He's come for the cross and sort of overrun it a little bit.
Wales 0, Netherlands 1. The goal in the second half for Koopmeiners. Throw into Wales. Right full back position. This is the sort of position that Wales could find themselves in Qatar against a talented opponent who've got the lead. What's the plan B? What is the bit of magic they can sprinkle on this Wales? Just the 1-goal deficit to try and make up.
Well, Gareth Bale's just been sent out to warm up, so that might liven it up.
That is a little bit of stardust indeed. And Gareth Bale, who is his future subject of much speculation. He won't be at Real Madrid next season. Where is he going to end up in a World Cup year? Smith back to Roden, now to Ben Davis on the left hand side. This is just inside the Dutch half. Norrington Davis back to Ben Davis, back into the middle again, and Roden, who's got Mepham available on his right hand side. The Dutch are working hard out of possession, though. They're limiting opportunities for the Welsh. Ball played by Harry Wilson back to the halfway line once again. In order to hold on to possession, Wales have been forced to retreat.
Good test this for Wales. Can they break down this team to get back in the game? Wales, whose success has generally been built on defending and breaking, not having a lot of possession. Holland are dropping back inside their own half and saying, come on the Wales, come and break us down, see what you can do.
I think they're starting to look a little bit tired as well, Wales, to be honest. Obviously the occasion of Sunday, and like I mentioned before, the amount of time they've been away. A lot of the lads haven't played much club football this season, and like I said, I think they're starting to look a little bit leggy. They've done a lot of work, closing the Dutch players down because they've had a lot of possession. So I'm sure we'll see Robert Page making some substitutions soon.
I guess in many respects the players on the pitch at the moment is the ones that he will want to see how they cope in this sort of situation. I mean, he knows what Aaron Ramsey would do here. He knows what Joe Allen would do here. This is educational for Rob Page. There's a throw-in awarded to Wales, far side of the pitch from us. A few wolf whistles. I think it must have been a foul throw from the Dutch that swung that possession around. So Wales 1-0 down here. Let's check back in at Hampden. This is a game that you can listen to commentary right now on 5 Live Sports Extra. Scotland against Armenia, Rutherford side.
Yeah, still Scotland leading by those 2 first half goals coming from Ralston and McKenna, both in each case, as we've mentioned and emphasised, it was their first goals for the national side, and what a time to get them, because the Scots were trying to get rid of a hangover after last week's result against Ukraine in the World Cup playoffs. That's looking very comfortable at the moment. Scotland are going to bring on a couple of subs very shortly. It looks as though they and Ukraine will lead the group by the end of the night.
Thanks very much, Roddy. So quarter of an hour to play here in Cardiff. Wales, who lost their opening Nations League game 2-1 to Poland, losing 1-0 here. Dan James tries to break forward, but De Vrij was the last man back for the Dutch, and he gets there first. James continues to run in on the goalkeeper. That's the whistles you hear in the background. That pressure has forced a somewhat rushed clearance, and Wales get it back immediately. Hateboer strong against Norrington Davis. Ben Davis jumps, but he can't hold on to possession. And now Frankie de Jong will break for the Dutch. This is dangerous. Tries to roll it into the path of Noah Lang, but cut out on the edge of the penalty area by Chris Mepham. Good defending from Wales, who in the main tonight, apart from, you could probably argue that a bit too much room is given to Koopmeiners to the goal, but apart from that one incident, Wales have defended very resolutely this evening. Wilson inside his own half, can't pick a pass forward, and has to retreat back to the 3 central defenders once again. Ben Davies. In front of him is his club teammate Steven Bergwijn. He only got 4 goals for Tottenham in his 32 appearances this season. He's actually scored more goals, Steven Bergwijn, for the national team this season than he has for his club. He's got 5 goals in his last 4 internationals. Here come Wales with Colwell, 10 yards outside the penalty area, right hand side. Does a little step over to the byline, but Malacia showing why he's so well regarded. Sticks to the task and puts it out. Bit of the Patrice Evra feel about Malacia. He's low in stature, but he's quick, and he timed his challenge very well there. And that's going to be a corner to Wales. And we're about to have the biggest cheer of the night, because it's time for Gareth Bale to make his introduction. Dan James will come off. Bale, whose deflected shot won the game at the weekend against Ukraine, and Brennan Johnson on his 11th cap after what's been a whirlwind of a month for him, winning promotion to the Premier League and the playoff final at Wembley with Nottingham Forest, winning the World Cup playoff with Wales, and never really got going this evening. Matondo is the other player who has come on, Ravi Matondo and Gareth Bale. And, well, at the very least, this is going to liven things up now for the last quarter of an hour. Gareth Bale is on the pitch for Wales. Here comes the corner, played in from the far side, punched away by the goalkeeper Flecken. It's going to be kept in play by Norrington Davis on the left-hand side. Crowded penalty area still awaits. They'd all been up there from the corner. Smith plays it in, angles it out towards the right-hand side where Harry Wilson was, having taken the corner, but he can't control it. And now chance of a counter-attack for the Dutch as Steven Bergwijn motors his way up to the halfway line. Bale working hard to get back goal side of him. Cooper Miners encourages Teze to come forward. Matondo is the nearest Welsh player. So Rob Page has made his changes now. He'll be hoping that it sparks something for his side as Hateboer attacks down the right-hand side. Decent cross in, and Joe Rodon heads it out for a corner. Corner to the Netherlands, who lead by a goal to nil here.
Big opportunity for Ravi Matondo's just come on now. Young player, former Man City, went out to Germany, followed that route. Very quick. Opportunity for him to make an impression.
9 goals in Belgium this past season for Ravi Matondo. As the Netherlands take their time over this corner kick. They're attacking the end that their fans have been housed. This was the end that they have scored earlier on in this half. The corner is taken short by Koop Miners to Bergwijn. Back again to Koop Miners, back to Frenkie de Jong. The Welsh defence step out just a little bit, but not too far. They don't want to get caught with a no man's land in behind them. Here's Malacia, 15 yards inside the Welsh half. Gives it out to the left wing to De Ligt. Mepham's the defender. De Ligt keeps it moving, was pushed to the ground after releasing the ball. The referee saw that, he's given a little glance, but play on because the Dutch still have possession. Hateboer on the right hand side gives it back behind to Koop Miners. Now Lang. Wales need possession. The Dutch very comfortable as they retreat back inside their own half. Teze's ball forward to Lang, laid off to Frenkie de Jong. Blonde hair blowing in the breeze as he swivels around on himself and gives it back to Lang once again. Keep ball for the Dutch, and then Koop Miners, no need for that, he's given it away with an unnecessarily ambitious pass. So it's a chance for Wales. Colwell pushes it in front of Matondo, running towards the corner angle of the penalty area on the right hand side. Wales 1-0 down here. Gareth Bale involved for the first time since coming on. Turns away from Bergwijn, has a little look up, passes to Ben Davies. Further on to the left-hand side is Norrington Davis. Bale makes himself available again on the edge of the box, but Norrington Davis can't pick him out. It's intercepted, and the Netherlands get it back once again.
So a couple of times that's happened now. They've found themselves in decent positions, Wales, and they've just been sloppy with that final ball. Where, you know, they've got numbers on the Dutch team, and you know, one quality pass, and you know, time and time again in the second half has let them down.
Just over 10 minutes to go. And the referee is holding up play because Weghorst has got a problem. It just looks a bit groggy down there. I think it might have been a clash of heads with Rodon, and although he's still standing, he's gone all paid. He looks like he's seen a ghost, and that's good officiating by the referee to spot that. Even though the player wasn't down, he could see, I can see now on the camera, he's got a cut in his head, and there's blood streaming down his forehead and his eyes, so they're going to have to work at him like in a boxer's corner now, and get the Vaseline on and stem that flow of blood. As Rob Page just takes a moment here to bring a few players over, have a little mini team talk near the halfway line. Players get a chance to get liquids on board in the big 10 minutes to come here. Can Wales get back from this 1-0 deficit against the Dutch?
I think James has hit the nail on the head there. I think Wales really they've done well tonight. They've not been amazing. They've just lacked that quality in the final third, whether it be the cross, the shot. I think that's what Wales have done so well. They've obviously brought Gareth on now. He has that in abundance. But it's that final bit of quality in that third. Not only have they not quite produced, but they've actually given balls away which they shouldn't have done, which allowed them to get broken on as well.
It's a tough one for Pagey though, Sam. Obviously I've said it before. Holland are going to have possession, so you have got to set up defensively to get numbers back and defend, and then obviously it's going to be hard the other way to get numbers forward. But certainly Robert Page looking at it defensively, I think Wales, I know they're losing the game 1-0, but I think other than the goal, as Connor said, they defended very well. Yeah, defensively been solid, hard to break down. It has just been cheap possession they've given away, James, sometimes trying to force a pass where it wasn't needed to. It's on to just keep possession, keep moving the Dutch from left to right or right to left. And they've tried to force it through a gap which wasn't there and intercepted. That sometimes comes from a young lad though, looking to impress, all but eager to impress the manager and try things, sometimes he wouldn't try, which I wouldn't mind as a manager, if a young lad's going on and trying to make things happen. If I was manager, I'd be making him, more than happy for him to keep trying it.
And play is back underway. Weghorst still off the pitch. The Dutch temporarily playing with 10 men. Memphis Depay had taken off his tracksuit top, but I think Weghorst is going to be okay to continue. So that change is not going to be needed right now. Bruno Martins-Indy, you might remember him, used to play for Stoke. He's worked his way back into the Dutch team after a long absence, and he's getting ready to come on as a substitute now. During that little delay while the injury treatment was taking place, you might have heard the drum beating in the background. That was the Dutch fans away to our right. We're all full of coordination moves over there, and having missed out Euro 2016 and Russia 2018, it's going to be great to have the Dutch fans back for Qatar in the winter. It's going to be interesting to see what part the fans play for that World Cup. You get the feeling it's going to be a little bit different to previous tournaments. Closing stages at Hampden Park, Scotland against Armenia. Here's Roddy Forsyth.
We're almost in the last 10 minutes. Steve Clarke has replaced Ralston, Armstrong and Robertson with Nathan Patterson, Scott McTominay and Aaron Hickey. That's just to see Scotland through towards the end. ScotRail, by the way, are working on a limited timetable tonight, and they warned the fans who have to get back to Glasgow Central to leave early. Those who are leaving early have just been caught in a deluge. It's pouring down at the moment. Bad luck, but Scotland winning 2-0.
Oh dear, thanks Roddy. Cross on the right hand side here from Conor Roberts is too close to the goalkeeper and held onto by Mark Flecken. So closing stages here. The Dutch are waiting to make this substitution, but they need the ball out of play, and the goalkeeper has helped them out in that regard. Mark Flecken has kicked the ball out on purpose, so the change can be made. De Ligt, who had picked up a knock, is replaced by Bruno Martins-Indy, a player who used to be at Stoke. He's back in the Netherlands with is at Alkmaar these days. He's taken over the number 4 shirt tonight from Virgil van Dijk. Bruno Martins-Indy, a player who's been recalled after 5 years out of the national squad, but his form at club level has impressed such that Louis van Gaal has got him back in. 6 minutes remaining on the big stadium clock. Wales have possession. They're 1-0 down. Joe Rodon midway inside his own half, weighs up the options. A little bit frustrated that he can't pick out anything more glamorous than a short pass to Ben Davies, who gives it straight back to Joe Rodon once again. He's pointing fingers, he wants movement. Ravi Matondo tries to provide a target for him, and he's cut from behind by De Vrij. Free kick to Wales, centre circle inside the Dutch half. At least they can all move forward now a good 25 yards up the pitch.
And Gareth Bale shoot from there?
Well, why not? I wouldn't bet against it. Any free kick inside the opponent's half, he'd at least have a little flicker of interest about it. Belgium, who were beaten 4-1 by the Netherlands on Friday, have dramatically turned things around at home against Poland. It's now Belgium 4, Poland 1. That's more like it from Roberto Martinez's side. 1-0 to the Netherlands here in Cardiff. Matondo has possession, but he's given it away to Weghorst, who's managed to stem the flow of blood for that cut to his head. Koopmeiners is the man who scored the goal. He's first in international football tonight. First touch for Bruno Martins-Indy since coming on. Wales are full of pressing runs here, but they can't get possession. And the Dutch very comfortable, almost playing at a walking pace at the back now with Stefan de Vrij. Short into the midfield to Frankie de Jong. We're speaking about how this is good preparation for Wales. It's good preparation for the Dutch too. How do they react if they have a lead in a game like this of the World Cup in Qatar? And Louis van Gaal will be very keen that they hold on for a clean sheet here. Another attempted Wales attack breaks down. Here comes Bergwijn from the halfway line, midway through the Welsh half now, but he's passed towards Weghorst, is straight at Roden, and Wales win it back once again. Colwill still inside his own half, has to manoeuvre around Frankie de Jong. He's looking up for a pass, can't see an obvious one forward, has to come back to Matt Smith. Welsh fans finding their voice late on here, 4 minutes to go. Is there to be a dramatic equaliser for Wales? There hasn't been much evidence of it so far, but Bale is on the pitch now, so anything's possible. Ben Davies, low to the feet of Harry Wilson, back to Matt Smith. That's a good ball to Matondo on the right hand side. Bale making his way towards the edge of the area. Roberts has got into the centre too. Matondo scuffs his cross. That's a disappointment after what was a promising build up. It's a damp squid in the end, and they're able to counter-attack here now, the Dutch. Bergwijn up to the halfway line, but he's sensible. He doesn't set off down a blind alley. He'll turn and give it back to the defenders once again.
It's a good opportunity again for Matondo to put in a decent ball, and we've said it too many times tonight, you know, it's poor quality in the final third. Got into the areas and said a bit more quality, Sam, you know, there could be a chance there.
Yeah, disappointing. We had numbers in the box then. Same with Connor Roberts a few minutes ago, 3-4 in the box, and a disappointing cross. But ultimately, it's really good play in the build-up to that.
In Dublin, Ukraine are leading Republic of Ireland late stages of the Aviva. Ukraine, who lost here on Sunday. Wilson's cross from the left-hand side, looking for Bale, but De Vrij gets there first. And so it looks like Ukraine, although they lost the big one to Wales, they will have won 2 out of 3 by the end of the night as things stand. And those players who, you know, the fact that they've been able to come together and be as a squad at all has been remarkable, given everything that's been going on in their homeland. And you certainly know they made a lot of friends here after the game on Sunday as well. There was a lot of friendship between Welsh and Ukraine fans. As a ball in from Smith is overcooked, and it goes in front of Colwill and out for a goal kick, and it's just not happening for Wales as they bang on the door looking for a late equaliser here. Just over 2 minutes to go. 5th goal for Belgium, who are really turning it on. Den Donker, the Wolves player, has got the 5th goal tonight, and Poland, who had the lead through Robin Lewandowski, have completely collapsed. And what all that means to the group is the Netherlands, assuming they do hold on for the win here, will be top, 6 points. Belgium will go second on 3 points, Poland third, and Wales bottom of the group, heading as they are here towards a second consecutive defeat. But it's not over yet. Is there to be one last big chance for Wales, and can they take it? Roden at the back, dribbling up towards the halfway line, right-footed in front of Matondo, who's going to sprint after this, but it's bouncing away from him and through to the goalkeeper who'd come to the edge of his penalty area. Frankie de Jong, who's looked very good. He's just, well, curse to the commentators to say that he's tackled by Bale, but he's looked so composed on the ball. Frankie de Jong in the main since he's come on. A real luxury player. As the ball is cleared away by the Dutch goalkeeper Vlekken. And here is de Jong again in the midfield, brings it over the halfway line. Wales have to drag their tired bodies back into defence. I've absolutely killed de Jong here, praising him, and now he's played the worst pass of his career behind Malacia, and that goes out for a Welsh throw. My apologies, Frankie, I didn't mean it.
You could have said it earlier, couldn't you?
I was going to say, you could have said it earlier.
Colwill stretches, makes a tackle, but the ball goes out of play, and a throw into the Dutch on the far side. Tian Koopmeiners' goal at the moment set to give the Netherlands a victory here in Cardiff. They get a free kick, late tackle. Connor Roberts just blowing off a bit of frustrated steam there, clattering into Malacia, and that's going to be a free kick to the Dutch. So almost done and dusted. Sam Ricketts, who's made the best case for you of the fringe Wales players, maybe if you want to call them that tonight, to be in this World Cup squad?
I've been really impressed with Harry Wilson. I spoke about him earlier, mentioned him. You know, he's really unlucky not to play at the weekend, not to start. I've just watched him during the game. I'm not saying he's been fantastic in terms of eye-catching possession on the ball, passes. I've just been watching his attitude. He's been demanding of his players around him. Really comfortable on the ball, oozes that quality, will have it in tight areas, doesn't give the ball away, trying to play little 1-2s, and if he's not getting it back, he's not moaning, isn't the right word, but he's saying, come on, look, I played a 1-2, I'm now the wrong side of their defence from their point of view, give it back to me. And he's really been the one trying to take this game to Holland, so he'd be the one for me who stood out tonight.
We've moved into stoppages. There'll be 5 minutes added on delay here because Noah Lang has got cramp, and the Dutch physios come on to try and help him out. James, who for you has stood out?
I think for a lad who hasn't played much football, I know he's a regular for Wales, but I think the way Joe Rodon's come in the last 2 games and performed without playing hardly any club football this season, I think he's been superb, as the whole back three and the wing backs. Chris Mepham, I think as he's been in and out of the Wales team and played 22 games I think for Bournemouth this year. I think they've all done really well, and I've got to agree with Sam. Harry Wilson, he's tried to make things happen. Maybe it hasn't happened sometimes, but at least he's trying.
Here come Wales trying to get the late equaliser. Caldwell in the penalty area, shoots, but it's blocked by Bruno Martins Indy. Comes back out, cross into the centre. Norrington Davis gets the equaliser for Wales. They've left it till stoppage time at the very end, but Rob Page's second string refused to be beaten by the Dutch. Rhys Norrington Davis gets his first ever international goal, and that was all about commitment. When the ball was played into the penalty area, he wanted that more than anyone else, and he powered his header to the back of the net. Wales 1, Netherlands 1.
We've spoke about the quality or lack of quality in the final third. Well, that's why we've been talking about it. Across from Connor Roberts into the back post. Rhys Norrington coming and attacking it. Bullet header, back post. Keeper had no chance.
It's credit to Wales, One wing back crossing it for the next, and it's a bullet header. And you've got to say the ball from Connor Roberts is crying out for someone to come and head it, and Norrington Davis has shown the desire, shown the will to come in and stick his head on it. And say in the last 5 minutes Wales have had a few chances, and it's like I said, it's brilliant. And you could see Robert Page just before the goal really pushing his players. He wants to keep this record at home going, and fair play to the lads. It's a great goal.
It's an excellent goal from Norrington Davis. As soon as Connor Roberts picked it up, he had his arm in the air, he was waving and calling for it. Brilliant cross, brilliant bullet header, and it ain't over yet. So the Netherlands, who thought they were coasting towards victory, have now got to roll up their sleeves. Here comes Frenkie de Jong, bursting over the halfway line, gives it to Bergwijn on the left hand side. Malassia's cross, Weghorst! What a header at the other end! 2 goals in 30 seconds, and the Dutch restore their lead. And Wout Weghorst powers his header to the back of the net. The Dutch were asked a question, and they've immediately come up with the answer. And that has dampened the mood in Cardiff. Just as Wales had got back on level terms, the Dutch remind us of how good they are. The break by Frenkie de Jong from deep inside his own half, the cross from Malassia, and that header was quality from Weghorst. Wales 1, Netherlands 2.
I'll tell you what, we're talking about Rhys Norrington Davis's header. This was the next level above. A brilliant header from 10-12 yards out. Not much pace on the ball, put all the pace into it, powered it past Adam Davis in that goal. But what I would say is there's a lesson there for Wales. 2 midfielders should have killed the game. Professional foul, we talk about it. Some like it, some don't like it. But that's what you need to do at this level. Wales are getting broken on. 2 players could and should have stopped the game. Take a yellow card for your team, bring the player down, come away with this game with a draw.
Burst into life late on this game. Wales, who've been 1-0 down, back to 1-1, but the Dutch re-establishing their lead in this stoppage time period. We've played 4.5 minutes now. Frenkie de Jong again, looking for that pass to the left-hand side to Bergwijn, who couldn't take it with him. He just miscontrolled it, otherwise he'd have had a clean run through to Adam Davis, the Welsh goalkeeper. There's got to be a little bit more time added on to the 5, you'd imagine, with the substitutes and the injury delay and the 2 goals we've had in stoppages, so there could be at least another 2 minutes to go here. Ben Davis sends it down the left wing, controlled by Harry Wilson. Matondo's with him, bounced up near his arm. The Dutch appealing for a free kick but not getting it. Wales have possession inside the Dutch half. Surely they don't have another equaliser in them in stoppage time, do they? This is Norrington Davis into the feet of Harry Wilson, tried to lay it off, but it's been intercepted. And evidence of fatigue now coming in for the Dutch too. Bergwijn had no energy to go sprinting after that. Here come Wales with Gareth Bale, right hand side of the midfield, number 11 on his back, gliding down the right wing. Real Madrid against Barcelona out there as he goes past Frenkie de Jong. He hoists in across from the right hand side, but no one really challenging for it, and an easy take for Mark Flecken, the Netherlands goalkeeper. Here's the whistle, it's all over, and it's a taste of disappointment in the mouth at the end for Wales after what it felt like a wonderful comeback to snatch a draw. But lessons will have been learned here, and this is a night when Wales will learn you've got to see games out. You can't switch off just because you've scored a dramatic goal yourself. The Dutch will be delighted. Louis van Gaal's team with the victory. 2 wins out of 2 for them, even with 11 changes. And it finishes here. Wales 1, Netherlands 2.
Yeah, confirmation. Carter, the full-time whistle has blown. Wales 1, Netherlands 2 in the Nations League. It means Wales are bottom of Group A4 with no points from 2 games. Netherlands top it with 2 wins from 2. Conor McNamara and former Wales defender Sam Ricketts and James Collins, our commentary team. James, what a finish. I mean, that took a while to get going, and then boy did it get going.
Yeah, it did. Unfortunately, not too well for Wales. They did really well, getting back into the game. Looked a little bit fatigued, but you could see Robert Page on the sideline still pushing the boys forward, and they've created a wonderful goal. And then, like I say, 30 seconds later, showed a little bit of naivety not to kill the game off, and have conceded a real late goal. And they said it's for Wales's good work. That'll hurt. Any late goal in any game. I know we've changed the team and bits and bobs, and Robert Page has tried things. That will hurt this Wales team, and it's bitterly disappointed because, like I said, getting back into it, they're on such a high, and then to lose the game. You could see it. The players are slat on the pitch. They look, very disappointed.
Sam, interesting what you said very late on, that the 2 midfielders should have killed it. They should have taken a professional foul. There'll be people out there that disagree with you. That's not how the game should be played. But in your mind, they should have done that, and then we wouldn't be looking at a Netherlands win late on.
Yep, and I don't tend to disagree with people who say that it shouldn't be allowed, but it is allowed. Teams do it. Let me tell you, Holland would have done it to Wales tonight if it had been the other way round. And that is what, at this level, if Wales take nothing out of this game tonight other than learning that lesson, because when you go to Qatar, the fractions between winning, losing and drawing games are minimal, and it's something as simple as that. Listen, on the halfway line, 10, 20 yards over the halfway line, the opportunity was there to take a foul, take a yellow card. You've worked so hard to stay in the game, get a late equaliser, make sure you get that point back into the dressing room. So like I said, if there's nothing else that comes out of this game tonight other than learning that one valuable lesson at this high level, then that'll be okay.
And Sam, that's going to be a big thing about these matches, these games. It's going to be about learning. We're looking towards the World Cup now for Wales at the back end of this year. And yes, you want to win these games. This is the Nations League. These are competitive matches. But also, Rob Page wants to be taking things from these games, whether it's looking at players, something they should have done. It's about learning lessons.
It is, and it's about experience, and understanding the game. I'm sure if Joe Allen was on the pitch, that foul would have been committed. But these are young players learning their trade, learning their getting experience at this level, and this is why this game, is valuable. And this is why these players who haven't got a lot of caps, the only way to get that experience is by playing. And I'm sure the players will go away tonight knowing what they should have done. They probably knew by the time the ball was in the back of the net what they should have done, and take that lesson.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Sam. But let's it's not all downbeat. I know Wales have lost the game last minute, but I thought Wales played very well tonight. Like I say, we didn't create a lot going forward, but certainly defensively, the way the team set up, the energy shown, the pressing. There's a lot of positives to come from it. As you say, that any game of football you play, whether it's a friendly, a late goal, so late on when you've worked so hard to get back in the game, it is bitterly disappointing.
They won the most important game the other day. We know that, Conor. At the very start of the match, you said you can see how tired they look, and this was always going to be tough because of what they went through, because of the changes that were made, and because of the team, despite making 11 changes, that they were playing.
Yeah, but that's what it's going to be like at the World Cup too. You can just imagine all the paraphernalia, all the pageantry, all the photo shoots, all the gear, all the training camps. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster, and Wales have got to learn to live with it. Obviously, they did brilliantly in that regard in 2016, and that's the energy they've got to harness now. I guess it felt a little bit after the Lord's Mayor show tonight that this game, competitive as it was, and a Nations League game as it was, it didn't match in terms of calibre to the weekend. So maybe that has got to be put in as an asterisk. Also, you're up against a very, very good team. The Dutch now have made it 9 wins against 9 against Wales. They're unbeaten since Van Gaal's come back into the job. They're going to fancy themselves to go and be a force at the World Cup. So this was a tall order all round for Wales. I think you praise the comeback for the Norrington Davis thing. On another night we'd be saying this is the Welsh spirit, this is what's going to bring them, so they've got to take the positives that they can do. But on the end of what's been a grueling week, they've got the big victory, the one that really mattered they got, and frankly that's what counts.
Yeah, it certainly does. James, Sam, I want to get your thoughts on Gareth Bale, his situation no longer with Real Madrid. Everyone wondering, questioning, speculating what happens now. Where will he play his club football? He needs to play club football, surely, and he needs to play it on a regular basis. Wales boss Robert Page has said it needs to be regular club football with a competitive edge. Sam, do you agree? Does he need to be playing regularly? He hasn't been, and he's done what he's done so far, but does that need to change now?
I think Gareth is probably the only one to know. I think ideally everyone knows that the best way to prepare for Qatar would be playing competitive football, getting the rhythm of playing games, the physicality, taking the knocks. You can replicate it to a certain extent in training. The one thing that will give, and why I'd have to say yes, it is imperative, is when we go to Qatar, it's 3 games in a shortish space of time. So from a fitness point of view, as much as you can train and you can think that you're sharp and you're fit, 90 minutes of football is a different animal, especially when we would want Gareth on the pitch for 3 games at 90 minutes in that time.
Yeah, I think ultimately, obviously, it's going to come down to Gareth's choice. I think he'll have a number of clubs wanting him in the Premier League. I think it's going to come down to what suits Gareth, what suits Gareth's family. Obviously, he's been in Madrid for such a long time. Everyone knows, he loves it back home in Cardiff, where his family are, his friends are. I think also he's going to need a manager on his side, a manager who's maybe not going to need him or want him to train every day. There's going to have to be a lot of communication between Gareth and whichever club he goes to, sort of medical staff and the management. There's going to be an understanding where Gareth's not going to train every day and probably not play every game, but play games where he feels 100% fit and where he can get something out of. So it's going to have to work both ways, but ultimately I think it's going to be Gareth's choice, because he's going to have a number of options, I'm sure.
Yeah, apparently Newcastle and Celtic are reportedly among the other clubs interested. You mentioned Cardiff there. Spurs have reportedly ruled themselves out of signing Gareth Bale for what would be a 3rd time.